Okay, welcome all. I'm going to start the April 9th regular meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence while we think about those who've gone before us. Thank you. Okay, we are going to also start this meeting off with the official oath of office. Marie, can you take that away for us, please?
Yes, I would ask if Mayor Allen would stand, Trustee O'Malley, Trustee Bushner, and Trustee Ryan. I'm going to read you the oath of office, and then I'm going to pass around the book for you to sign. Under the state of New York in the county of Rensselaer, today, April the 9th, 2019, say your name after me. I,
Robert Allen,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of mayor
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of mayor
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We welcome you back as mayor for another 2 years.
Thank you.
My trustees, again, by the state of New York and the county of Rensselaer on the 9th of April 2019. I will swear you in each, starting with Kevin. I, Kevin O'Malley, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee
and faithfully discharge the duties of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Thank you very much. We'll see you for another 2 years, and we appreciate all your hard work.
Kevin.
Next, I'll do Trustee Ryan, State of New York and the County of Rensselaer, this the 9th day of April 2019. I
Robert Ryan,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee
according to the best of my
according to the
ability.
best of my ability.
And we say welcome back to Bobby.
Thank
And
you.
continued success.
This is your 25th year? Just kidding.
And then, by the state of New York and the county of Rensselaer, on the 9th day of April 2019, I
Brian Bushner.
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much. We welcome Brian back, and this will be signed the oath in front of myself, the village clerk at the Hoosick, in the village of Hoosick Falls.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marie.
Marie.
All right, and officially, I'd like to ask for a roll call.
Okay, Trustee O'Malley.
Here.
Trustee Patton.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Ryan.
Here?
Mayor Allen.
Here.
Trustee Bushner.
Here.
And Trustee Pine. Absent, Trustee Lewis. Also present, Attorney Gilchrist.
And Attorney Dave Engel.
Dave Engel.
No.
Thank you.
All right, my first item of business, assuming Bobby still is interested, I'd like to appoint Bobby as my deputy mayor. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
And at this point, I would like to entertain a motion to open the public hearing regarding the 1920 village budgets.
Motion.
Second.
Ben and Brian. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now in a public hearing. The public hearing for the budget will remain open for, I think, the next hour or so. I'm going to speak very briefly on this. We have copies of the budget here. We'll have them on our website if they're not already. One of the things that I am going to ask us to do is to not adopt it tonight, because I have not gotten to sit down with trustees two at a time as I have in the past and as mayors have in the past to sort of walk you through the details. But I do want to give a couple summary points. In all situations like this, there's a fair amount of nuance. One of the things that I wanted to do was to address two main issues. The first issue is that in terms of our fund balance for water, we are running low. We are running, I would say, very low, historically low, and we're not in a good situation. Now, what we've budgeted, if we spend everything that we have in the budget, we will still run a little bit of a deficit for the year. We'll still have the money that we need at the end of next year, but it's not in a good spot, and I think one of the things we're going to have to do this year is try not to spend pretty much anything in terms of water. So one of my thoughts was to look into the possibility of raising water rates, which has not been done historically for at least 5 years. Right now, residential, we pay $4.71 per 1,000 gallons that we use. The sewer rate is actually $4.85 per 1,000 gallons that we use. In the budget, I proposed a 2% water usage increase. Now what that means is, and what I did is I actually went and looked at my own personal water usage as a family of 6 with 4 small kids. We averaged about 41,000 gallons for whatever this is 4-month period. The difference in 2% would be $3.82 per paycheck or per bill. So over the course of the year, multiply that by 3, and that would be an increase of approximately $12 for a family of 4. Not a huge increase, but I think it's something that we just have to do. The fact of the matter is, water usage is down. Industrial/commercial water usage is huge amounts of down, and we have to find a way to curb this in some form. There's a lot that could probably be added and said to that based on the situation we're in. I never ever wanted to raise the water rates because it's a touchy situation, but the fact of the matter, budget-wise, I mean, this is what it is. So that's probably my first point. The second point is that I know in our community we have the reevaluations happening for are hitting home for the sort of the first time in terms of if we've gotten increases or decreases in our own assessments. The school just passed their capital project, which as a teacher, as a side, of course I was happy about, but as a community leader, I know that's another added cost. So one of the things I wanted to do was put up a 0% increase on taxes this year. And that's what this budget is going to reflect, a 0% increase, assuming that we go through and pass it. That's the second main point of 3 points on the budget. The third one is salaries. Now, I made this sheet with a lot of help from Denise, thank you, to look historically at how salaries have gone. So if you go to the front of the sheet, it shows you from the 2012 year over to the 2017-18 year. And what you see for the first 5 years, and I would assume it would be the same going back, is you see a steady 2% increase across the board for the salaried positions. Now, I'm not including mayor, deputy mayor, trustees. I'm just sort of talking everything else. Around the first time when I was becoming mayor, the last budget that Mayor Borge did when he finished was for the 17-18 budget, which we approved. What they did at that point is they looked at NICOM, which basically follows all the information for cities and villages across the state. And Denise got a list of, I want to say, 10 or 11 approximately villages that had similar makeup as ours in terms of population, area, size, generally speaking. And we made a comparison look at what we pay our salaried employees versus what others paid, and we found that we were very low, embarrassingly low. So in the 17-18 budget year, we made a very substantial increase to salaries. We basically jumped halfway between what we were paying and what the NICOM average for 2015 was. That was the 27-18 year, and we did that. And I thought that was a very good move. Those were some substantial increases across the board. Now, if you flip over, last year the plan had been to finish off getting up to the average. We did not have the funds for that, so we did one of two things. We either went to 75% of the NICOM average, or we did a 5% maximum, so we capped the increase. And that's what we did last year. Now, I have laid out for you 5 possibilities of what we could do this year, and I'm going to tell you right now that the third possibility is what I have put in the budget. And that's one of the reasons why I want to approve the budget later, because I want us to digest this and talk about it and see how it works out. The first possibility is a 2% increase, which has been historically done. The second possibility is a 3% increase. The third possibility, which is the one I put in the budget, which would bring our salaried positions up to the average size, or the average salary based on the 2015 villages, and I think we include like the town of Hoosick in there just to have it as a way, which had been our plan when we started this. Then I decided to look at the most recent data from NICOM, which is the 2018 salary list. And I went through and I picked 11 villages. I actually started with population size, then I looked where each one was and took out certain ones, like, you know, if you're on Lake Ontario, you're not similar to us. If you're in the Long Island Sound, you're not similar to us. If you're on the Hudson River, you're not similar to us. But I found a list of 11 villages around the state and looked at their averages, and we are quite off again. So possibility, I labeled them possibility 5 and possibility 5. It's supposed to be possibility 4 and possibility 5. Possibility 4 would be an increase to get us 50% to the 2018 average, and 1920 would be getting us to what the average would be for the other communities out there. Now, there's a lot of numbers, a lot to digest. I just threw in our original choice of getting us, in possibility 3, getting us to the NICOM 2015 average. That being said, one of the things that I'm always going to be focused on is making sure we're taking care of our employees. And historically, the salaries were very, very low. I think when you looked at the 2015 numbers back before we did this, I think we were probably the lowest across the board. And I was not a fan of that. So you guys may want to ask questions or wait until we sit down and talk individually, but I wanted to go over salary figures. One thing I should have done is I should have tallied all the salaries to the bottom and see what it comes out to. But
When you talk about NICOM, you're talking about villages or cities included with this?
NICOM covers anyone that has a mayor. It's a committee of mayors, so it's going to cover all villages and all cities. But I only chose villages that were within the range of our population and our socioeconomic backgrounds. Like there were a couple of villages that had the same population, but one of them was literally on Lake Ontario. So I was like, you know, that's way different than us. So I basically took villages that were within probably about 500 of our population that were in similar locations, as in like not on the Hudson River, not in Lake Ontario, not in Long Island Sound. So, and I can share all that data with you if you'd like to see it, because I have it in a spreadsheet, because I guess I'm a spreadsheet nerd. So, when talking budget, those are the 3 things. Number 1, I did not want to increase taxes. Number 2, I felt like we did need to increase water rates. It's not a huge increase. For a family of 6 like myself, I'm estimating it's going to cost less than $12 a year for the next year. And number 3, I wanted to look hard at salaries again. And maybe come up with a plan with you guys about getting us closer to where we want to be, unless you guys are satisfied with whichever ones we have here. So that is that in terms of my talking through the budget. Denise, do you want to add anything else? In just general summary of it? Brian, can you set up a couple more
I think you
chairs?
pretty much hit the highlights of the major, you know, all the insurance, as we included a 3 to 5% increase, because insurance never goes down, it always
Yep.
goes up. We did add the $1 increase for solid waste per quarter, $3 each.
That's a good question.
For the recycling, the fee that you get on your bill.
Yeah. Sorry, we're talking about where we can fit chairs.
So that's all I have to say.
All
You missed
right.
it. It wasn't very exciting.
Okay.
So no increase with the sewer at all, what you're saying is just.
No
the
increase for
same,
the sewer
okay.
rate, no.
Except the bond, it's going up.
The bond is going to go up. I don't.
Yes, the water and sewer bonds actually, the water bond for the year will go up $4.29, and the sewer will go up, I'm sorry, that was the sewer, $4.29 for the year, for the entire year, and the water will go up $3.06 for the year.
Okay. What was that?
$4.29 for the sewer.
The actual bond.
$4.29.
the actual
That's
bond
over the
pay-
year.
Over the year.
For the year.
So then, when you divide that in 3, You're going up like a buck.
A buck and
50 and a buck,
40,
so-
right, $1.43 on the sewer and $1.02 on the water.
That was
Per
really
quarter,
fast math.
yeah, $1.02 a quarter for
Yeah.
water
That's why
and
you're deputy mayor.
$1.43 for sewer.
I love math.
Nice.
Total, bonds that we're, still paying down is $532,509.
Okay. So, any questions or general thoughts you want to share now, or we can wait until we talk later? And I do want to set up a meeting in a couple weeks just specifically to answer more questions on adopt the budget.
It has to be approved by,
May 1st.
okay.
May 1st.
I can wait till.
Okay.
I'm fine. I'm
Alright,
fine
so
waiting.
as I said, this was a public hearing. If anyone has questions on the budget, you can certainly ask now. You can also ask any time as we go over business for the next hour. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts they want to share on the budget? Or anything
Well, I
else?
don't believe you had it, I couldn't find it online, so do you have a copy of it that we?
Do we have copies here? Yep, right here. And we can certainly make more. And I will check after the meeting and make sure it is online tonight. If anyone has questions later, you can just raise your hand and we will call on you because we're going to leave the public hearing open for a while as we continue on to other business. All right. And if there's more copies if you want to take it for the budget. Okay, we have two groups here to speak today. The first is DEC, who is going to give us a status update on the Hoosick Falls landfill as a potential Class 2 Superfund site and talk more about what next steps are.
Sure. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see everybody again. My name is Rick Mistico. I'm the Regional Hazardous Waste Remediation Engineer for Region 4, which includes, which is 9 counties. including
No,
Rensselaer
that's the next
County.
one.
The Hoosick Falls landfill, we've been doing a preliminary site investigation on it, a preliminary investigation on it called a site characterization. We do that for potential hazardous waste sites. We finished up that characterization and provided the findings to the mayor, and I believe that's online now, that document?
Yes.
It's online on our website.
Okay.
But not on the village.
I was gonna say it's not on mine, so I'll link it.
Okay, you guys, I believe, have copies of it, the CD?
Uh,
Or not yet?
CD. There have been so many documents that have come in the past week.
Yeah, sure.
The IRM as well.
If you
Okay.
don't have it, let us know.
I will put that up on our website as well tonight.
So we've determined that the site is a Class 2 caliber site, which basically means that it poses a potential threat to either public health or the environment. And we base that on the data that we have in the surrounding areas. We know we have high concentrations of contaminants in the groundwater and in the leachate emanating from the landfill. So the next step, as the mayor had indicated that we would discuss, is to conduct a remedial investigation at the site. The remedial investigation will determine the nature and extent of contamination at the site, be it in groundwater or sediment or surface water, soil. And then we will do an engineering study. I say we, either the department or a responsible party with department oversight. And the engineering study will come up with various alternatives as to how to remediate the landfill. And then we would go to the public with a proposed remedial action plan or a proposed cleanup plan. We'd have a public meeting, public comment period. The reports would be available for public perusal. And then after the public comment period is over and taking into consideration the public comments, we would write a record of decision. That would be our decision document. The remedy would be then designed and then implemented. So whatever that remedy may be. And that's really all there is to it. It does take a considerable amount of time, as you can imagine. There's a lot of field work still to be done. Being that we live in the Northeast, we do get snow from time to time. It's a little bit more difficult to do some of the field work in that type of weather. We do try and do the work in spring, summer, fall, generally. Try and write the reports, get the reports into us for review during the winter time frame. It almost seems like it never works that way, but that's what we try and do. As far as the remedial investigation, as far as timing also, that often takes more than one phase. We'll get a work plan in, we'll review it, a lot of times we'll have comments, and then that gets revised, they go out and do the work. Then we'll take a look at the data and fill in any data gaps that we have. So oftentimes it creates 2 phases of investigatory work before we then get to the feasibility study. One thing I forgot to mention, we do work with our Department of Health on that, so they're with us every step of the way, including, you know, at the public meetings. They sign off on the remedy. They need to make sure that it's protective with us, with, you know, not just the environment, but protective of public health too. And if there is either active operation and maintenance, we would have an O&M plan, a site management plan. They would often include, like let's say we have a site cover, that would include an excavation work plan. So if somebody needed to do work out on the site and they needed to excavate below our site cover, they would need to handle the soils properly. Any work that's done out there that's intrusive, we have a community air monitoring program that needs to be followed to make sure that the public is protected from any potential dust or contamination on site. We make sure that we monitor during all intrusive activities to make sure we're not disturbing something that shouldn't be.
All right. Do you guys have any questions from the board? And I think this was, Dave, do you want to share or summarize anything from your perspective? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Well, in anticipation of some concerns I'm sure some people will have, and I'll keep it short, we've had discussions with the highest levels of DEC on this, and this is not a surprise. And we have had discussions with the department that include the topic of who the potentially responsible parties are. I will not identify them this evening. I have identified them to those people, and they know who they are. And it'll be interesting to see how they respond. But we had been expecting this, and this designation is certainly consistent with what our understanding was in terms of the groundwater contamination and the surface water contamination at Thayer's Pond. So the process continues.
I mean, even back before I became mayor, I think we knew that the numbers coming out of the landfill were around 20,000 parts per trillion in the leachate of PFOA. So we knew for a while this was kind of a big deal. Yes, Kevin.
Kevin Allard, 5421 State Route 7, Hoosick Falls, New York. We always look at PFOA, but I'm willing to bet there was more than PFOA that you found up there. Can you give us an example of anything else that was found up there?
Yeah, I mean, there are some other contaminants of concern up there. I mean, you know,
Such as?
Typical with leachate, you find high levels of iron. That's not as big of a deal. I can't recall off the top of my head what some of the other contaminants were. But when we do a remedial investigation, we look at VOCs, semi-volatiles, PCBs, pesticides, and now, you know, with the new emerging contaminants, we'll look at PFAS concentrations for all sites throughout the state.
Any of the VOCs up there that were also on John Street?
No, we didn't really see any VOCs if I remember correctly. Mostly it was PFOA and in way lower levels PFOS. Yet we had the PFOS contamination in the fish at Thayer's Pond. If you recall, I believe there's a fishing advisory for Thayer's Pond.
Yes.
There's been a local fishing advisory, just within the locals, not to fish there for years.
There's nothing wrong with a two-headed
Is it the
fish.
site characterization report that would be on
The
the?
other thing is you have the footprint of the landfill and you know what that contamination is. Are you now moving outside of that landfill to determine
Part
what
of the RI process is to determine the nature, you know, what type of contamination you have and the extent of contamination in that we typically for a site characterization, we don't move off-site, but, as I
Because the
think,
numbers are so high.
well, we just look for a site characterization to see whether that site is a hazardous waste site or not. And then if it is, we stop with the site characterization, but as we all know, Hoosick Falls is not like any other place. So we did additional work, and we already have put in some monitoring wells off-site, but we will continue to do that, additional work to determine the extent of contamination at the site, or, and beyond.
So what clouds that is the fact that people around the landfill had village water, but they did not have village sewer. They all had septic systems, so whatever water they had went into the septic system, and then that PFOA water went into the ground. So, is there any thinking about how far out you can possibly end up with a footprint?
I don't wanna surmise. I mean, we basically try and take a scientific approach as far as we start at the source and move our way out and stop when we find the extent. There's, some sites that we go for quite a while before we find the extent of contamination off-site. And there are some sites where we get, I guess if you would, lucky and the geology or what have you helps us out, and the extent is fairly limited.
If you go to you can just do a Google search for Hoosick Falls landfill DEC. The site that comes up, there's a Hoosick Falls area that lists out all the documents for each of the sites that are being investigated, and the site characterization is on there right now. You scroll down to Hoosick Falls landfill, so you can read it.
I can't remember the
In your
last time I Googled.
downtime. I'll show you later how to do that.
You
All
can
right.
even try it on Bing if you so choose. I don't know if you
What's
get
that? What's that?
results.
And Mayor, if you
Yeah.
if you don't have copies of it, let me know.
We should have one in the repository here and also
Yeah,
at Cheney
we can
Library,
send-
but
yeah, so-
we'll check.
And the same thing with Supervisor Sudan, if you guys, I think we sent you guys.
That wasn't the one
two
to
copies
No, that's
of the
not this one.
That's
document,
some other thing.
but let us know.
I'm calling it.
What's that?
Just checking.
Yes, Dave. Sorry.
Dave Lucas, Busker, everybody knows. Will your plan be inclusive of the existing leachate pump station for the potential of the village not having to treat 4,000 additional gallons a day? Or are they blessed with that pump station for eternity?
What we'll do is we'll determine the nature and extent of contamination, figure out, a series of remedies, and then propose one. As far as what that is, it's way too early to tell. From the standpoint of, it's a landfill, it has a leachate, issue, it has leachate coming from it, so I would envision that there's gonna need to be something done as long as there's leachate.
All right.
Is our handling of leachate from a closed landfill typical of sites in other communities with landfills that have been closed and capped, or are there other ways that the leachate is processed other than going through the sewage treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant? And if so, would one of those potentially be a way to remedy some of the contamination issues that are coming off in that leachate?
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Vicki Schmidt, I'm the regional engineer for DEC. So I'll answer that question for the materials management program that covers municipal solid waste landfills. Yeah, it is typical, the leachate is collected and it's required to go to a treatment facility, a wastewater treatment plant is typical. So, does that answer?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if there were some alternate ways that could help us with our problem if we could alter the process we have in place, but generally that's what happens.
Yeah, the ultimate, collection and management of the leachate generated at any old landfill or inactive landfill site, it's really determined on a case-by-case basis. So dependent on, the geology of the site, how this, where the landfill was located. Sometimes there's high groundwater table, so it's really case-specific determination. So, but it is very much typical that it goes to, you know, a municipal wastewater treatment plant, for ultimate, you know, disposal, treatment.
Thank you.
Before I hand it off to the page group, and before you guys go, can I just hit my 2 DEC related updates in case you guys answer any questions? My first 2 updates were specific to DEC items. The first is there is an IRM here's this guy here. The interim remedial measure. This is Kevin. This one's for you. That's going to be installed at McCaffrey Street, St. Cobain location, in the form of a groundwater capture and treatment. The goal is to prevent the PFAS pollution in the site in and around McCaffrey Street location from moving closer to the well field. And I pull these quotes right from the plan. Water pumped from the capture wells will be treated with GAC. Following treatment, the water will be discharged to the Hoosick River. So this is another thing that I'm guessing is up on the website. We have it here in our repository. Great reading, fun pictures. You can pass around if you want. I printed out the 20-page summary in case anybody here wanted to read it. Just the 20-page summary.
Just a quick question on that. What? I guess a concern all along would be, and this, I know we've come up last summer. We had a very dry period of time where some of our municipal wells were getting low on supply. They had to adjust what they're drawing from, and that one thing is, well, the contamination normally would flow to the river, except for, you know, our well field pulls it to our well field. Is this going to impact our water supply, the amount we have, if we have another drought period in the summer? Is this going to impact that? Because I'm a little concerned based on last summer.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sue Edwards, yet another DEC person here.
You're everywhere.
And they've done a pump test in the past and did not see that there was any negative impact on the well field. There will be continued monitoring to ensure that there is no impact to the well field, but it's the way it's designed is that the draw that's needed to just capture the contamination that's coming off the site is very low. It's not anywhere near the kind of thing where you would be pumping from a well to get water. It's not a water supply well. It's merely to capture and keep migration and contamination from moving. So it's not anticipated there will be any negative effect, but that will be a continuous monitoring to make sure that there is no effect, especially in a drought period. And if anybody wants, I have fact sheets here that you can pick up. They will be distributed out to our electronic listserv tomorrow. And on here, if you're not on the electronic listserv from DEC and want to be, there's also a link to get information. So.
Pass them around. So basically it'll be where there's the most concentrated area where the plume is. The idea is to grab that heavily concentrated area and avert it before it continues onward.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. There's 2 wells that will be placed that are already on site that are going to be used to, that are right at the boundary of the site.
Okay.
So they will be pumped at that location, and the groundwater will be
pass those
treated
around.
through granulated activated carbon, and then discharged to the Hoosick River.
Okay.
Volume of water
And
per day.
I don't recall.
Dave, do you remember what the volume of water is per day?
The volume of water from these recovery wells are supposed to capture is about 36,000 gallons a day.
Power?
And that,
36,000 a day?
yes, and that compares to your supply wells, which are typically running around 350,000 gallons a day.
Yeah.
So it's relatively small. You know, I think this is like a lot of IRMs. I think the proof is gonna be in the doing. And as someone who's been around this business a while, I have some questions as to let's say, the long-term efficacy of this. There are areas that are highly contaminated on the plant site, particularly under the buildings where the values are well over 100,000 parts per trillion. But those areas of the highest concentrations seem to be staying put. If you look at all of the sample results around the plant site and neighboring properties, there's a much more of a sort of scattershot appearance to the contamination. And it's well and good to take steps to assure that the high areas on the plant site don't wander off towards the well fields, but evidently that hasn't happened yet. And we'll see in the long run just how effective this IRM is. I know that St. Cobain is enthusiastic about it, but I'm not quite sure that I don't see this as a final remedy, let's just put it that way.
So where would the discharge to the river go? Sorry, I was trying to, where, are they going to install a new pipe to the river, or is this be overland? I mean, there is a greenway space, park area there, there's
Right,
neighborhoods.
that will be determined, I'd have to look at the design. I'm not the actual project manager for it, so I'm here to answer a few questions.
Read the
But
manual.
it is in the document.
Are they gonna fix the pipe that broke?
That's another issue that we'll deal with.
Sorry.
But as an interim remedial measure, and I wanna stress that it's interim, and ultimately, when the remedial investigation, where we determine what the nature and extent of contamination is that's coming from the McCaffrey Street facility is determined, we will then come out with, just like we will for the Hoosick landfill, is come out with a proposed plan, come out for public comment, and ultimately just determine a remedy. And part of that would be a re-review of this interim remedial measure that is being implemented now to see if, is it really working? Is that the ultimate remedy that really should be done for capturing the contaminated groundwater from off-site?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sue. Yeah.
Justin Deming, New York State Department of Health, and I'll just add, I mean, we share the same concern with the recharge for the well field. So, as Sue mentioned, there's a pretty substantive monitoring plan that will go along with it, that we'll be watching. The idea is that, you'll be reducing the mass flux coming off of the plant site, what's going to the well, so.
Yeah,
But it's gonna require trial in order to see how the system's gonna work, so, but we'll be watching it along with DEC.
So is it 2 wells at 36,000 each, or 2 wells for a total of 36,000?
Total of 36,000. That one I remembered. All right.
we'll probably put these together.
Great, and one more DEC related update, which also involves EPA, and I see Larissa here, thank you Larissa. EPA did perform their stack testing. It was successful, they did it in the end of March, early April. Over the course of 5 consecutive days, sampling personnel consisted of 2 scientists from EPA's Office of Research and Development's National Risk Management Laboratory, 2 scientists from the same ORD National Exposure Research Lab, EPA Region 2 observer and Hoosick Falls project manager, DEC's Tom Gentile, and a DEC chemical engineer from Region 4's office. The summary of that report should be available in July of 2019. The results will be qualitative in that it will show what they found coming out of stacks if they find stuff. It will not be quantitative in that it was X amount. It was just, they will be able to determine that this is coming out and this is coming out, which is the plan from the beginning. I have a 1.5 page, very, very technical summary of this, which I got to hear on the phone and just kind of glazed over a little bit. I can summarize a little bit of this. Larissa, did you guys want to add anything?
I don't have anything additional.
DEC, did you guys want to add anything to this in terms of the stat testing? All right, does anyone have any questions on the stack testing that was performed that we can answer? I will pass this lovely sheet around through the board and then on beyond if you guys want to read that for the technical information of what happened there. Any more questions for DEC? Yes.
So I read that whole process and how that was being done with EPA. And when the results were expected, it said 2-3 months maybe, I guess they were hoping for to get actual results.
Yeah.
And then it said it would go to EPA for review. Then it said from there it would go to DEC for review. So, scarily federal and state time, how long before we get the review?
No, the
I guess.
review process is why it's taking 2 to 3 months. Because
So we should have those results.
that is, yes, that date is when we will have them.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, Kevin.
When will we get the historical data on the previous stacks and towers that were at McCaffrey Street? Which is what people have been looking for a long time now.
What the DEC has been doing is determining, we're looking at air dispersion and where it's actually gone. And we can't recreate what might have happened in the past, but we can determine what's out there now and where it might have gone, and determine what we might need to do to clean that up. But we don't we don't necessarily have the information that says, this is what came out of this stack between 2000, between 1989 and 1992.
Well, they're able to do the modeling up at ChemFab up in Bennington.
Well, they're doing modeling. And that's an ongoing, plant that still has stacks that are still, emanating material. This is not the case here, this is a whole
Are you talking about
different
Bennington or
system.
Merrimack?
In Bennington.
Bennington's been closed
Oh,
for,
Bennington, I'm sorry.
You're
I
thinking
was
It's been
Merrimack.
closed and
Yeah.
they already did the historical data for that, so the technology is out there to do that, and the same treaters, I mean, the actual people that were working here, developed these treaters, and were people working here, went up to ChemFab and did those. Built those treaters and operated those, so that information that they have there, you should easily be able to get.
Okay, I can only respond to determining from the perspective of what we do from a remedial standpoint, a cleanup standpoint of what's gotten out into the environment and what we can do to clean that up. I will bring that back as an ongoing concern of what may have come out of those stacks in the
Because
past.
Saint-Gobain should be able to go back to when those were running, when they shut those down and give you all the numbers of what they were running through the house. And it shouldn't be that hard to do.
I'll bring that up too.
The next thing is, as long as we have DEC here,
Yep.
BOCs on John Street, what's the status of those?
Do you wanna talk about the latest? Let me see if I have my notes.
Yeah, John Street, we're still doing an investigation on the mitigation of the soil vapor that might have gotten beyond the property. Maybe Justin, you can talk to
Sure.
mitigation on,
All of the homes that have been able to be sampled have been sampled. They're just charging and where needed, they're taking mitigation activities, sealing basement flow, indirect. Now, it's a matter of doing some additional monitoring.
This you can
And
pass
then
on as
there's
well.
also a proposed IRM.
That's the short version of the
to help
book.
mitigate the migration of those off-site too.
So we have an idea what the footprint of that is? Yes. Is there a map that shows that?
Well, there is previous data that was presented that shows the extent of the VOCs leaving the site.
That was preliminary, at that time you hadn't really
we don't,
identified the total.
we don't have the next report out
Okay.
yet. So when that comes out, that will again be online and you'll be
And in
able
the
to
Cheney
see that.
Library.
And, yeah,
Cheney
in
Library.
the library,
And here.
and also Justin mentioned that we're contemplating doing an interim remedial measure where there's a possibility that we can stop the flow of volatile contaminants from the John Street site moving off-site. So we're entertaining that.
Alright. Any other questions for DEC? Alright, thank you DEC guys for being here.
Dave's got it.
Oh wait, sorry. The tan guy in the corner, sorry.
You can't see. Just a general question, has there been any more substantial updates on a new water location with the concept of maybe the best thing is pulling from the river directly with pre-treatment ups, before the existing, Paul filters?
The river as a water source?
River as a water
supply?
source.
The river has been, it's not a good option because it's not of the grade that we would like to see for a water supply. It could be used, but it's not the best use as a water supply, and there is contamination in the river.
Yeah.
So,
The understanding is that there's contamination at all of the exploratory well sites to some degree?
no, we have not actually done the testing on the pump test that is the production well that is being installed right now. There was some testing of observation wells in the area. Very, very low levels of PFAS were found in those wells, and that's probably what you're referring to. But we have yet to test the actual production well that is the option that will be brought forward.
Downstream from the existing
Yeah.
wells.
Right,
Yeah.
and that production
Technically
well is
upstream.
actually being
Upstream?
installed
Yeah, it's upstream,
today,
but yeah.
this week. And
River
the
flows
pumping test will be done this month.
Downstream of Wysocki's would be where you are now.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant upstream of our well field
That's what I thought you
currently.
meant too.
And that report, which we'll present on the option, is I think still
We're hoping for June.
tentative, hopeful for June. So, all right, great. Thank you, DEC. I want to pass it off now to the Page Group to talk about the community participation work group.
Hi everybody, Carrie McMurray from the Page Group. You all have a blue PowerPoint packet in front of you, and I'll leave
A couple
that.
extras
You
up
can
here
go
if anybody
through it.
wants one.
Ask any questions later, that's fine. I'll summarize it for y'all. We are the Page Group.
Kevin,
We're
go ahead
out
and
of
pass it
Utica,
that
New
way.
York. We have been hired by DEC to establish and facilitate a community participation work group. Just a little bit about the Page Group. We work with a variety of municipalities, state agencies, private utilities, not only in New York State but across the country. Very familiar with Superfund sites. We've done landfill siting and some of what you just talked about in your report. We've also worked with various communities around the country on different water sources and how to make that transition work. What our charge is really is to create this community participation work group, right? And the goal of this is really to ensure that there is timely flow of information to the public, right? This group would also make recommendations in terms of some of the outreach activities that should be done. Maybe it's an open house, maybe it's a community meeting, those sorts of things. The goal behind what their role is really, a lot of what you guys are talking about in this room right now is throughout the process to make sure that the public is aware of each stage, what's happening, right? And that issues or concerns quite possibly are clarified or addressed before decisions are made and before we move on to the next step. So where we are right now is we are now seeking letters of interest from the public. So anybody that is interested in participating on this work group, we're asking that you write a letter of interest and you send it to our attention. All of this information will be on the village's website and the town's website. It'll be on social media, and we'll also have flyers around for folks too, so you have all the details. Letter of interest, they're gonna be accepted through May 17th, which will bring us through the next board meeting, okay? When it comes to the formation of the group, we're looking for between 15 to 20, maybe we'll push it to 25. Really, we wanna make sure that we've got a broad representation of the community, right? So everybody is represented from, homeowners to the business community to economic development, travel and tourism, public health, youth. So really, when these folks get around the table, we've got everybody's interests represented. So that's it in a nutshell. If anybody has any questions for us, and like I said, all this information will be on the website, social media, and then we'll have flyers that we'll certainly post here in the town office. Library sounds like it's a good place to put it, although you probably don't need to chain it to anything.
Well played.
No, we're a private firm,
Hired by,
DEC.
is that the same thing as the cat group they were talking about?
This is what that has become. Yes, this is
Yeah, the
exactly it.
CWB.
Yeah. Board, any questions?
Do we have this on our website?
Nope.
What's that?
Is it on our website?
No, but they haven't sent it to me yet. That's happening tomorrow.
August,
We were just voted on board a couple of months ago.
Were people
Yep.
asked last fall to put it on?
August.
And just to be clear.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm gonna take the blame on a month or two of delay because I had so many other things going on. So you can yell at this guy.
And just
No,
to
this
go,
guy.
I'm glad you said letters of interest, and I know initially when this was presented, they said kind of a resume, and I think some people were like, well, I've just been an activist, or I've just been in concern, so I think it's important to know, it's good to list what participation people have had, but by no means is not a resume of your work or educational experience, it's
You don't
just,
need to know history and job history and education.
Yeah.
We really wanna know what your level of interest is, and if you have a particular topic, or maybe you've got some experience or some expertise in an area, that sort of thing.
And we will blast this all out on social media and Facebook and the village website so everyone knows what's
If
the.
you work in a particular sector, like public health.
Is there a deadline to get the letters in? I feel.
May 17th.
Thank you. It's probably on the sheet
So
that I
what
gave
if you
out.
don't
Yeah.
get a well-rounded group of individuals to take part in this?
We do know that we want folks from certain sectors, right? So economic development, like I listed those, right? My guess is that we'll get them. If we don't, we may go out and actually solicit some folks to make sure that we've got youth represented or economic development.
Just knowing from trying to get volunteers for our planning board, it's.
Sure.
Pulling teeth, exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of which, if anyone's interested, buy one, get one free. Planning board and this.
Any other questions?
Does that work?
All right, great, thank you, Carrie. I'm gonna continue on with my, few updates, and then I would get that at the end, so remind me to do that at the ends. A few more things, state-related, biomonitoring update, the data collection for the second round of blood testing, ended at the end of March, which we have been talking about for a while. DOH will now be putting together all of the data, and we'll look, around June, I think, as a possible time frame to release the data. That's not a hard date, that's just what we're shooting for. That will include comparisons to the round 1 blood data as well. People can still get their blood tested if they haven't. Even if you didn't get your blood tested the first time, you can still do that, it just won't be collected on the data that they're gonna start putting together, that's all. The ATSDR, has put out, as they had intended to do, started a multi-site study of the health implications of exposure to PFAS contaminated drinking water. So this was forecasted on grants.gov. This upcoming study, they're looking, are they proposals they're looking for? To join this. The village and DOH have already been talking about this opportunity. DOH plans to apply for this. They're also going to work to include Petersburg and Newburgh in the application, which I think will be strong because of all the blood testing data we have already. There have also been discussions internally in DOH about applying with other states, including Vermont, which would be easier because they're close and local. So I just want to make sure people know that that is out there. I have you can go to grants.gov and just do a search for PFAS, and it will come up as the first search if you actually want to read the details. But I have this here in case anyone wants to see it, because apparently I'm in teacher mode passing out things left and right tonight. But I just want to make sure that people knew that was going on. It's something that we are very much in support of, as is the states. Before I go on to the non-DOH DEC stuff, does anyone have any questions about any DEC DOH related business? All right, great. Thank you, DEC DOH. You sure you don't want to stay the whole time?
Thank you for coming up.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you. All right, a few more updates in terms of unsafe structures. The demos for the 2 buildings that remain that need to be come down that have been deemed as unsafe structures were originally scheduled for early this week, but the demo hauling company had emergency demolition, so they are planning to do demo work, I think, later this week, possibly early next week. So those 2 structures will be coming down shortly.
That was Spring Street.
That was Spring Street and John Street.
Okay.
Yes. And I think Mark can talk more about that in his report.
He's gonna sit out there with a lawn chair.
In terms of grants, the highway garage. Oh, I gotta go print that out in a moment. I forgot to print out the letter that they sent. Basically, I had a long conversation with some higher ups in the company. Communicated the village's position on the experience we've had related to the highway garage grants. They heard it loud and clear. Rich DeGuida, who has been our Syracuse office contact, who we've worked with the Snow Street project, the sewer projects, the PFOA related projects. I'm missing one.
Yes.
One more somewhere in there is going to be taking the reins and communicating with us. So he's now the Hoosick Falls representative in MRB. Things are moving. I have the recommendation later. My apologies. I meant to print it out earlier and I forgot, so I'm a bad person. But we'll talk about that later in the meeting. And I think everything is looking good now for approving it.
What a bad person.
About a bad person. That's what's looking good. Yes. Business. Mayor's a bad person. Okay. Snow Street project. Just a quick update. The last part of this is the Rensselaer pump station. It's currently being built. It took a couple weeks to get the plans submitted to the various people we had to, but it's being built and they're hoping that it will arrive in late June for installation.
Good.
That's the last I heard from Rich.
A little bit over.
Oh, could be earlier. Sweet, that would be great.
Unofficially,
Likely June. Okay.
Is a structure to houses included with? No. I do know our wood shop to put on teacher hat
Ooh,
students.
See you, Dave.
thank you, Dave.
DeGraff mentioned, do we have any projects the village could use help with? And I think constructing
That is a fantastic
a
idea.
wooden structure to house the new pumps would be an excellent project.
Can you remind me to
Ooh, we
reach
have to
out?
have the pumps installed before we put the building on.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
we can build around it.
Okay, it's just a
Timeline issue. Okay. All right, that's a good point. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oops. Sorry. Almost took out someone. We'll add that to his report.
I'll probably remember to tell you in June.
Okay. The sewer project, phase one of the sewer project, which is, I forgot the forms. Do you have the forms, the warning letters? Did I give those to you?
For the area.
The phase one of the two-phase sewer project is all the pipeline that's going to be laid basically across. Thank you, across the greenway, the northern end of the greenway, coming up from the village and moving on. Louisi Brothers is the contractor who's taking this project head on. They are going to be starting work probably within about a week. Is that correct?
Yeah.
They've started to mobilize. They have a construction notice that we are going to put on for approval and publish. Assuming we do, that basically says the company, Peter Lisi and Brothers Contracting, is currently under contract with the village of Hoosick Falls to repair or replace the sanitary sewer system in your neighborhood. The hours of 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday will be worked during construction. The roadways will be open to residents, however, excavation will limit access to driveways with the active construction area at times. In addition to limited access, we ask that you please plan accordingly, as normal travel routes will experience minor delays. 48 hours prior to construction, an additional letter, which is this residence notice, will be issued to all residents that will be directly affected by construction activities, so that your vehicles can be moved and not blocked in. At the close of each workday, access will be provided to all driveways affected by construction activities by either temporary or permanent measures. Upon completion of the project, all residents' properties will be left in the same condition or better as prior to the start of the construction. Pre-construction photos will be completed prior to the start of any work. I'll pass this around, but this is on the agenda. Actually, let me pass both of these together.
Rob, what streets are impacted?
In this part of the project, and Dave of local Dave, also MRB Dave.
Local Dave.
We'll call you MRB Dave right now, or heavily tanned Dave, which I'm jealous of. He's actually the construction observation person, so I don't think there's that many roads.
Water Street, Lyman Street, Superior Street, the laundromat entrance, that's because of the weird hydraulics on that corner. And then there's potential of us saving a whole bunch of tie-ins by relocating it over on Nixon. There's some minor changes that we have to do, they have to do submittals.
Okay.
And we have to say yay or nay to, but they all look like yays right now. So in the second word section, there could be less impacting of the neighborhood, substantially actually.
That's great.
That's more or less it.
Do you want to see these? I just need them back.
When they do the tie-in for the 4-inch line, but again, that's a day, and it's, everybody knows what 1-inch road plate is, stuff you drive over, open pits.
How's that over Snow Street?
It'll be the common thing for the day.
So this part of it is going to basically pipe from the corner of Lyman and what is that?
Superior.
It's Superior, across to the Greenway and up the Greenway. But it's really that from Lyman to the Greenway, which is going to be the impacted area.
Correct.
When you say across the greenway, you're talking by the laundromat and going the greenway in that direction?
Yeah.
North?
Yep.
And we have all the glorious easements that are needed to go all the way up that stretch. Yeah.
Well, and I know Neil's up there, but I noticed there were a lot of markings around Cary Ave.
There's some on Center as well.
Yeah, but there's also orange identifying, it looks like telephone, so if any village roads are being disturbed for telephone, I'm assuming?
Now, there will be a
Is there gonna be
second phase of this project that's going to do a little bit of work over the back of 4th and 5th. Is
Yeah,
that?
but this is something else, I think.
This is the second phase, but that's all coming
Yeah,
months
there's quite a
later,
bit.
and we'll have more information on that when that's closer to sort of that approval point. somewhere around that. I think there's a couple things being redone, but I'm not certain. But anyway, that will properly alert ahead of time, so don't worry about that. And my last update, and I'll take questions from anybody who's got them. Woodsbrook buyout program. We have completed surveys, appraisals, and phase 1 environmental site assessment documentation. And it's in the process right now of going out to the majority of the property owners who have expressed interest. We will be hopefully talking to them next week to schedule our sit-downs, and we'll start negotiating prices for purchase. It's taken a while to get here, but I'm glad we're finally here, and it lines up with one of my April breaks, so that's cool too. All right, any questions on mayor updates? Slew. All right. In that case, before I get to people to be heard, I do want to entertain a motion to go into the organizational meeting phase of this.
Motion.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Craig. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll hop over and I will quickly read through the organizational meeting agenda. We'll reset everything for the upcoming year. Very exciting times. Asking that you make a motion after I review a large portion of this. So in terms of meeting and business, the business of regular meetings, as it lays out, call to order, pledge of allegiance, moments of silence, roll call, correspondence and announcements, mayor updates as needed, people to be heard, reports in the order there, committee reports, old business, and new business. Meetings will be conducted in accordance to parliamentary procedure with reference to the revised edition of Robert's Rules of Order. Meeting schedule, regular meetings will be held on the second Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. unless otherwise advertised. A tentative agenda for each meeting of the Board of Trustees shall be prepared by the mayor and the village clerk and given to the mayor and trustees and each department head on the Friday before the meeting.
Really?
Well, sorry about actually. I meant the Friday before the next. Sorry. I'll,
Friday somewhere in that month.
Can I change that to like Tuesday by 5:55?
On a randomly selected surprise Friday.
I deserve all of this. The official newspaper will be the Hoosick Press. The official bank will be Key Bank. In terms of committees, I did have Vanessa email me one change. Where was that, Vanessa? Recycling. Ben is supposed to be the lead. So Ben should be the lead, and Vanessa should be the flip and recycling and solid waste. Otherwise, and I think Kevin had sent one request. Apart from that, it's basically exactly as it was before. Do I need to read all these, Andy?
We can note that it's in the report.
Note that it's in the report agenda. Fantastic. Appointments for the 2-year folks, as in the report, with no changes that I can see. Everything as it is. And 1-year appointments as well. No changes that I see. Do you want to speak about any of those, Andy, or are you good for us to move on past appointments?
That's correct.
Okay.
Things in order.
Is this Keith Pierce?
What is that printing thing happened? Yeah, yours printed out weird. Yeah, it's definitely Keith Pierce.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know why I printed out line on your copy. You're a lucky guy. Zoning board. We are still in need of 2 members, so sign up because it is a great time. Oh, that's something I forgot to mention. In the budget, I did finally build in a little bit of pay for zoning and planning board members because I think that's appropriate. So I think it's like $5 a meeting. But I mean, it's enough for at least a really awesome drink from Iron, maybe throwing a cookie. But it's another thing I wanted to have in the budget, so it's there. Planning board, the same 5 as we have right now. Gail Leva, Sandy Sargood, Donald Bradley, Deb Alter, and Shane Hathaway. Nuisance law appeal board, as dictated there. Workplace violence committee, as mentioned there. Ethics committee as well. So at this point, I'd either open up trustees to discussion, or if all seems in order, I would look for a motion to approve all meeting and business procedures, committees, and appointments as laid out in the for the organizational meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Ben will give it to Vanessa. All right, second. Any further discussion?
Really quickly, make sure you put down the right name for the matron this year.
It is correct.
Okay.
It's not in the-
Don't want to appoint your wife accidentally?
No.
I just wanted to check that.
We got it. We're good. Thank you. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. And I did want to notate for the record that The one change we had mentioned was for recycling solid waste, that Ben is supposed to be, the lead and Vanessa is the second on that one. Alright. Procurement policy hasn't changed, which we will attach to, our report. Emergency purchasing also, has not changed. All officers, agents, and department heads, for the village must first obtain the approval, of the village mayor and or committee chairman of that department for any purchase in excess of $1,500. And so on as noted. Hiring of personnel, also has not changed. Overtime must be approved by the committee chair or the mayor. Anything else to note in that, Andy? Okay, in that case, unless you have further discussion on that, looking for a motion to approve the procurement policy, emergency purchasing policy, hiring of personnel, and overtime policy.
Motion.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Second.
You're super quiet. Second, from Bobby. Any discussion?
Is it a contractual issue for the vacation time? I know this has come up yearly, it seems, or is that something we can change with this policy now?
I think what came up not this past year, but the year before, was that there were so many things going on that people didn't have time to take vacations, but that hasn't been an issue. I don't think people have been taking vacation as far as I know, and I know that we were very specific about make sure you take your vacations.
We were, but I know there were a lot of situations and that could arise again. I just wanna look out for our guys and women.
At this point, I think everyone is doing vacations as they're supposed to. I will double check though, because their fiscal year is going to be ending at the end
just
of
as
May.
it's something we could look at to revise. I would like to explore that at some point.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think we have to worry about them using their vacation time by the end of the year, because most of them use it without a doubt, right?
Yeah, it's just the previous years with all the water stuff going on, those guys
But
didn't
you
have
know,
it.
just say, in the event of any of those things, that we
You
should
can't
probably
deny
have
them, right.
an exception in there. Yeah.
If you want to shoot a couple emails to Andy and think about some policy ideas to come out, we can certainly do that and revise that. So.
All right.
Any other discussion? In that case, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carrie's looking for a motion to close the organizational meeting portion of the village board meeting. Brian, because he was louder. Ben, because he's awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Wow.
Fastest organization.
I'm
meeting
loud
ever.
and he's
Thank
awesome.
you.
So we're done.
No, we're not done.
Now.
All right,
we just
people
closed
to
the
be
meeting.
heard.
It's all true.
As always, and as a reminder, we record everything. Just need to get an idea of how many want to speak. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I'll set like a 4-minute limit. See if we have to go over. Nothing new on 911 if that's what you want to go to first.
Yes, I do wanna go to 911.
And you can also say your name, but we have nothing new.
My
on.
name is, Marion, Stevens. First, I wanna say thank you to the police for all their efforts on getting our, trying to catch the person they had problems with. And how I found out about it is because one was in our backyard, 2 hours later.
Officer.
A cop running through our backyard.
Yep.
So this is another reason why I said we need reverse 911, because we need to be notified and we can't wait for 2 hours to know that things are happening in our area that could have been dangerous to. And I know I was on the phone calling my neighbors and everything around to make sure they knew about it, but not everybody does what I do. And we can't count on the media all the time. It just gotta, I mean, even the newspapers, it was almost 2-3 hours later that they had, you know, not the newspapers, the TV.
Yep.
I didn't even find out on Facebook, nothing came up from the police department on Facebook. I found it from like a post about not swearing on the department's page.
That's
So,
weird.
I asked Ben, he didn't know.
I mean,
Who's a cop of the cemetery?
We had
It was a bit disconcerting to most people.
Oh, absolutely, and it was
So it was very
disconcerting all the way
surprising
around.
to have, you know, somebody going in our backyard with flashlights and, our dog going crazy, and thank
Yep.
goodness we have them.
That's
But,
what- so you got it on
it just
Facebook,
really,
right?
That's what I'm checking.
I
8 or
know,
9.
And
I-
Facebook only, it's their algorithm and how it displays content to people, and that's part of the reason it's been criticized largely, is you're seeing old posts and that are irrelevant or not. It's all based on what Zuckerberg and his evil lab. Yeah.
on Facebook,
Yeah,
from a post about not swearing on the village.
we had
It's
I put it up around 7:45 or
On the
8 o'clock
village's
on the village page. The police, I put it up because they were doing their thing. They didn't have time to go on Facebook and make a
I
post.
mean,
But
I get that, but my
Yeah.
house is literally right there. I have small children. children, this could have been a rapist, this could have been a murderer. I'm not trying to knock anybody, I'm
I
not
know.
trying to be mean.
I
I mean,
know.
I think our
But-
police were doing their job.
We all
And I'm
were very
not,
disconcerted about the whole thing.
Insulting them at all, but
Yeah.
I have been after this 911, way back even with David Forge, on this.
Mhm.
That our community has to have something that is a notification when there are emergencies, and you've had emergencies, and yes, it may have
Yes, we
started big
have.
time with the water, but when we've talked about, you know, there being train problems, the gas tanks there in North Hoosick,
Mhm.
and you know where they did that, and, this happening, it is really important.
I'll check up on it again.
Can we use the school system?
Actually,
No.
is
No.
Bob,
No.
is
Not
No.
allowed?
Bob here?
No.
Is, I mean,
Bob.
Bobby, cause he told, he had.
We'll ask him
Different,
at the chief.
different,
He-
it's
he was-
Questar,
it
totally
checked on it.
different.
Difference,
Bobby
yeah.
actually, the chief had checked out the
And like I
real,
said, I don't want
I
anybody
can explain
feeling
later.
I'm,
cause we talked about the other night.
Yeah.
insulting the police because they were doing their job.
Mhm.
And I'm glad, you know, they did find out that there's fences between all our houses, so nobody could have ran through. But I have a empty house next to us.
Which I
And
know they were
it's
checking
not-
all night.
And that's not secure,
Yeah.
but we keep track of that house, believe it
Yep.
or not, because the bank even knows that.
In fact, we actually, in that prior to midnight, those first few hours, we had a couple people call in saying, we know of abandoned houses here, can you check? And we had not only
Yeah,
our
you
officers,
know,
but
we know
sheriffs,
there's an open shed
um,
back there,
were checking
and
out a
it's
lot of
like-
abandoned buildings. Yeah,
so,
yep. Alright, anything else?
did you want anything,
Oh, no. Well, go ahead, ask.
what, Mr. Dingley?
Yes.
What's
the
going on?
status of Dingle?
We had, when we looked into it, we realized that we had a more recent local law that was on the books that requires, a different, and I'm supposed to tell you this as well, a different form to be filled out. We've started working on that. It's sitting on my desk waiting for me to finalize it, and I'm gonna do that tomorrow, and then we're gonna get that out to him. It's not needed to be board approved anymore, but there are more requirements into what has to be filled out, in the application, including background checks and things like that.
And I
Are you
think
gonna
that's.
put any restrictions on his sound system?
Now he had a conversation with him
I
and made some
spoke with
requests
him.
on that.
And he said that, he would not, actually, hang on one second.
I know that he was gonna make sure the music was off when he was stopped.
Yeah.
Because that's an issue of not hearing other vehicles when they're coming by, so he heard that.
Yeah, sound low or sound off when parked, and his date of his application, the initial application he filled out was from April 1 through October 1, so there'll be no question about Halloween like there was last year,
Right.
so that's out of the
Right.
question, so.
And I will get that done
And we
tomorrow, my
have to,
apologies
yeah,
on that.
I didn't reach out to him today because
Meeting.
I figured he was gonna be calling me, because I told him we were gonna be approving it tonight at the meeting.
Halloween would have been horrible if you picked like
I've
designated.
heard
Alright,
other,
that was a
Halloween was,
miscommunication.
the intention was, I think, to be nice,
I mean,
but
it was
everyone was
nice.
like, no, safety,
Yeah.
and we got it, and it
And
won't
he-
happen again.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
very, very cooperative.
Yep,
I've seen where neighboring communities are already complaining about this guy running,
Well, it's,
operating in their areas.
again,
Oh,
it's
right.
not this guy, there's
There's
one
many,
individual
many people.
owns it, and there's multiple
Yeah,
drivers,
place.
you know, so.
but just like chickens, it is a divisive issue, as I have discussed.
But, you
But at
know,
this point
just
too,
like
we
chickens.
also, we know it's not in the board's hands at this point, it is a
Mhm.
different process, so I think I'd like to just say,
I know, but we
can we
be
move on
updated
from the
it. It is
conversation?
something happening in our conversation.
Yep. So yeah,
Now
That's
it's
coming.
somebody's problem.
Yes.
alright,
Thank you.
there were other people to be heard, Kevin?
I just
then
see, I just see in your, two agendas, later on in your agenda, you're going to go from being an assessing unit to not being an assessing unit,
Yes,
but yet you appointed an acting assessor.
yes, and which we have to do until the local law is passed, in which case there will no longer be any deal, is that pretty much?
That's correct. I mean,
yeah.
right now, the tentative budget, there's still that position, so it's in the tentative budget.
Yeah.
If the local law does ultimately get adopted, then the position will be abolished. and it'll be
I think it was
certain
six thousand
there
something
won't
for
be
the
a no-show
salary,
job.
8,000. But yes, that will stop where we've already had that discussion internally.
Thank you for.
Yep, good spot. Yep, anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Alright, thank you.
Hi, Richard Hunt from up on Easy Street.
Hi.
My concern is the work going on at the country club and the projected work at the country club. I called Mark didn't know anything was going on, the clear cutting's already started up off of Griffin Ave. just got an email at 5 o'clock tonight back from DEC. Woodbrook is a designated Class C stream, which is governed by,
Richard, the top
Whole
of
bunch of
Griffin,
rules.
is that next to
Where-
the
where you-
Tudors
where are you
property?
talking? On top of, Griffin?
Griffin is
Cause-
being clear cut at this.
Cause that was
That-
sold to, Tinkham sold that, or is
To the
selling
guy
it?
who's likely gonna buy.
Jerome bought it, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so,
okay.
He brought
okay,
that
so
I
you
actually
got,
met
Yeah.
with Jerome last Thursday because he was trying to figure out a map and he was across from my house and didn't know what he was looking at, but.
I just wanna be clear, that's what
Yeah,
you're talking
so
about right
That's
there?
where he's working right now, and he plans on clear cutting, I don't know if it was 5 or 10 acres, wherever he bought from Mr. Tinkham. He plans on
Okay.
clear
More than that.
cutting. This says he needs, all his stuff he's falling under is an Article 15 permit he needs with DEC and you guys and everybody else. The Army Corps engineer he has to meet with before he even goes near Woodbrook. So, and he plans on clear cutting all that 18 acres also that's down through there.
Now, is this above Griffin, like the next?
Yeah, it's
It's at the
actually,
very end.
right before you cross just past Brady Lane,
Yeah.
or, yeah,
Bradley.
Bradley Lane, I apologize,
Yeah.
Bradley Lane.
So it's all that wooded area
Yes.
up there.
Tudors had the
So
property
did
for sale.
he
Okay.
so there's multiple parcels, there was next to Tudors, but also the parcel the country club had owned that has a street access on Easy Street that goes
Correct.
down. There's some I believe some
Yes.
woods in there too.
Well, Woodbrook runs right through
Woodsbrook
there.
Yeah.
runs through, yeah.
I
I
don't-
think there's
Are you
wetland
sure the
there,
Woodsbrook
too.
runs through that area?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't develop it at the
I
country
mean,
club.
on the map, it's literally
I know,
showing
so
it
there's,
running up this
there's
way.
a huge parcel
This-
and another
this is-
parcel to Griffin.
this is
and
Griffin.
It loops around the
There's
back of
also
the country
30-something
club.
acres.
Oh,
The country club
okay.
owned the 30-something acres where Rick's talking about below Easy Street.
Yes.
And that's where
Up here.
he also bought that
Okay.
property.
So you're saying the clear cutting's happening on top of Griffin, but he also has property over
He
by the
also
Woodsbrook.
told me last Thursday that he plans on clear cutting all the stuff down.
Well,
to
he
Woodbrook.
can click all he wants as long as he has permission, as long as he has the approval.
He don't have any permits,
Right.
and I suggested to Mark, he put a stop work order on him right now until he gets the proper stuff in process.
Does Mark have the authority to do that
That's-
for clear cutting?
That's not village
Or would
property.
that be,
He has
Andy?
an Article
Andy?
15, I didn't have a chance to print this off, I just looked at it an hour ago.
That's fine.
So I can be more than glad to print everything off I got from DC tonight, and I'm not saying he has to do everything they're suggesting, but, he can't go nowhere near Woodbrook without the Army Corps engineer.
Right.
well, you said
But
too
you
with
mentioned, you mentioned Griffin Avenue, that there's no, he can do what he wants on that property up above.
I don't know the specifics of this yet, but he cannot clear cut more than 1 acre of woods, I believe, from what I read quickly on this email tonight.
just as a concern though with
If you own
Woodsbrook
property,
and
you can't clear
flooding?
cut more than 1 acre of it?
I'd have to
What if
dig
you're
into
gonna
it
put a house
more.
on it?
That doesn't make any sense.
I'm just,
Maybe
like I said, I just read this
Yeah.
an hour
You're throwing
ago.
stuff out
That's
there.
right. Andy, do you wanna hop in, cause I know you have background in this too,
Well,
Andy.
it'd also bring up flood issues with
Exactly.
runoff and,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we're getting the cart ahead of the horse. We're not,
right.
he hasn't started that process yet.
but with clear cutting, that's something that should be mentioned as well, is Woodsbrook
But he's got no silt fence up. He's got no-
we ask
Andy,
a question.
Andy,
Let's
take it
let him
away.
answer. How about a couple of thoughts on this? One, we'd have to take a look at your village code, particularly your zoning law. If there's any village regulations on clear cutting or timbering, timber harvesting, that's where you look first.
Okay.
If there is not any, then there's no municipal requirement to cut trees on your property. Having said that though, this 1 acre that we're talking about, that's not a tree cutting issue, that's a stormwater issue. You're basically clearing more than 1 acre, you need a stormwater pollution prevention plan. If you're near a protected stream, then the department's gonna require a permit before you can work within that stream area.
Okay.
And if there's wetlands on the site, yeah, then either DEC or Army Corps. I'm not aware of any village timber harvesting regulations or clear cutting restrictions, so I'm not sure it's a
It's not
village.
very frequent you would run into it in a village. at
Yeah.
that- at that
You may
amount,
not, but many
you know what I mean?
municipalities in their zoning law do have
Right,
regulations
but she
dealing
did
with
email
this.
me back that that whole section is wetlands through.
No, I
Woodbrook.
understand that, so,
So you
when
said
your
exactly
questions-
a lot of stuff she said in there, and I only
Right.
just read it an hour ago, so I
but,
didn't
but
have
your,
time to
your
really
statement
review it.
about Mark should issue a stop work order, it's really not a village issue, because there's no village regulations, but the department should be placed on notice.
Okay, well, here's the runaround I got. I went to several town people, I went to a planning board member, nobody knows of, and he has no plan of any of the work going on in his land. He's notified nothing. Nobody has a clue, there's no site plan review, there's nothing.
But until he builds anything,
Right,
he doesn't have
and
to.
there may not be, without any regulations on, again, timber harvesting or clear cutting, then there's no requirement to come into your
So
municipality.
it all falls back on DEC to
Where's
check
the
on
village?
his,
Where's the village?
If there
Well, part of
is.
it's in the village and part of it's in the town
Yeah.
too.
no,
correct?
it's all.
Where's the
It's
village
Yeah.
line
all
up there?
village?
100% village.
It's all in the village, okay.
It's all-
That, Mark,
It's all in the village up there. Okay.
even on the left-hand side by Woods Brook is all in the village?
Yes.
It goes all the way out in Ball Street
Yeah,
Extension?
I haven't actually
Yes.
looked at it, just from my conversation with Rick.
All right.
Rick is
If
one
you,
of
if you go to Google Maps and go to terrain, there's a red line that shows the village line.
Okay. Okay.
But he's supposed to have runoff barriers, fabric put up.
Also, Andy, I'm just thinking, we have with the town, the CDBG grants, sorry.
No, you're
And
right.
B&L, which is gonna be doing work specifically on the Woods Brook up there.
That's right.
So,
And my other concern is you have already had, I'm throwing a number out there, roughly 13 houses very damaged by the flooding in Woodbrooks. And if he clears out more, that's just more of a rush of water to the village.
That's immediately what I was trying to say, and Andy
yeah.
backed up, is that's a huge concern in that, cause it is
Yeah.
very steep. And,
Okay.
and
And that was brought up in our conversations when we, as far as with the Army Corps of Engineers, as far as the flooding, when we had that in July, a couple years ago. Cause remember we talked about that area up there, what used to be.
Yep.
There used to be a dam up there at one time, back when it was Calhoun's, and that's since been gone. And the country club sold him that parcel this year, I believe, between last golf season and this year so far. But,
What's the next step? And we're not gonna solve this here tonight. We have
No,
nobody to
I
talk about.
just want to bring
What-
this
no,
is just
what's,
awareness.
what's the next step, I guess is my question. So the DEC sounds like they need to be.
Sounds like we need to reach out to him.
Yeah, I think Mark ought to go out and take a look, just confirm it's everything in the village, there's something in the town. If there's any part in the town, you'll have to check your town regs. And then contact the department, sure.
is he
The
DOH or
department is
DEC?
likely to contact the Army
DEC.
Corps as well.
Oh, DC's here.
DC's right there.
DC's still here.
I think we short circuited the process. Alright, moving on.
Oh, it's absolutely.
And
Why not?
I didn't realize you're DEC, not DOH.
We just have to make sure it's all working together, developing a route.
Richard, I appreciate you came to bring it up. I mean,
Great.
I think this,
I just don't think it's right that he's trying to do a whole bunch of work, and without any kind of meeting with the planning board and just giving people a heads up for an idea,
but that's the thing, you look out for the
it's a
community, and I
it's a
appreciate
major
that, so
project.
thank you.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think you can do that, I don't think the sales are even completed yet, so I don't know.
well, that sale on that parcel is, yes, it is.
No, I mean.
Sale on the land, not the golf
Not on the
course.
golf course.
No,
The only thing he
Griffin.
told me about the golf.
Andy, do you
course
wanna
was the
conclude?
And to be honest with you, there's a meeting Thursday night.
Yes,
for,
okay.
the
Thank you, we're
country club.
gonna contact
I'm
a
a
few
little concerned
folks.
about the roadway going around my house also.
But he wants to
As far as what he
expand
wants to
it,
do there to
I'm
get
assuming.
down into access.
I would assume if there was a roadway going on in this property that he purchased, that would require some sort of,
is he putting in a road?
Yeah,
Is it constituted right now just a haul road to get the logs out?
just to get the equipment to go down and do this clear cutting and stuff.
Yeah, that's probably a temporary haul road, and when it's done, this is, if it's over an acre, and it certainly sounds like it may be, that's all should be included in the stormwater pollution prevention plan.
alright,
Where your haul roads are, where your staging area is, how are you gonna manage the stormwater, because
okay.
these things can become
I
a
mean, where he's
mess.
pulling out, I understand that's his 50-foot right of way,
Mm-hmm,
but if you go just past Easy Street, there's the dump site, where there's a kind of U-turn, where everybody dumped fill for years, the towns and stuff.
Okay.
Where are you
Just
talking?
before Wendy's house.
Yeah, cause he has the frontage that's about 50 feet, right?
Right.
That would be, but beyond that, then it's behind the houses and down.
Right, but it'd be better access off of Ball Street as far as, I know we don't own that part, but you might wanna look into that vacant lot that's next to Wendy's house.
And I'm surprised he hasn't gone through the process, because it's not like he's an amateur to development.
Right, no.
alright, well, we'll reach out and make sure we're moving together on this, cause it's a big deal
Yeah, this is just.
for him and a big deal for the village, thank you.
It seemed like nobody knew much about what was going on.
No, it is a big deal, it's a big
Yep.
deal for the country club too, so.
Right.
Yep, alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Someone else?
Are you staying, Rick? I just have a question for Rick. Was discussing trees out in the park with Neil and Jerry McAuliffe, and two of the trees are
Thank you.
dead. And
Where's the location?
right here in the park.
Yep.
And I know the county does some tree work with the county.
Boom
we
truck
asked-
wise, you mean?
What's that?
With a boom truck?
Right, to take the trees down. They're not too large, but
Yeah,
they're
Neil
they're
showed me
dead.
a
All
I'll look at them.
right, thanks.
Where are the trees?
In the park.
Right here?
Can we also make sure we replace them when we take them down, cause we're running out of nice big old trees in the park?
I like it.
Send me anything you have.
We'll have to have that discussion, but I feel like we're losing trees too.
Let me know, cause I'll
Person?
follow up.
Yeah, you're the guy.
I do
Just let me
believe
know.
Civic Care is also looking into
Get some trees in. Yeah,
That would be good.
that'd be great. All right, thank you. In that case, let's move on to reports. With the crazy buildup of today, I did not get to do my normal formatting of reports, so I have a poorly labeled reports packet. Judy, can you go grab Chief? Tell him we're finally ready. We are short a treasure report tonight because budget season.
Budget's out.
Budget's out. Well done. Thank you. And we're short a DPW report because the computer was on the fritz today. We're gonna get that figured out. Josh is already working on it. Mark, do you want to go away for Chief? Or maybe that's Chief coming now.
Nope.
Is he coming?
Yeah, he's right here.
Report. Sorry, we're ready for you.
I wasn't ignoring you.
No, you're fine.
So what's new, Chief? Quiet month?
Well, the report for the department for the March 2019, total calls for March were 114. Total calls for February were 115. Total arrests for March were 10. Total arrests for February were 15. I just want to highlight this one section that the total arrests for the year are 43. Compared to last year, there was 24. I don't know if that's
Wow.
on here. I made that change to an email.
Right, we saw that, yeah.
I think I forgot to change it here, so my
The arrest of
apologies.
the month were
Do you need a
criminal
packet?
mischief, warrant arrest, grand larceny, possession of
You
stolen
got one?
property. There's traffic violations, harassment, danger and welfare of a child, criminal possession of controlled substance, and criminal contempt. Just to talk about the events for April, the autism walk and run has been moved to Bennington, which is going to be Saturday the 13th. We have the Little League Parade on the 27th, and we are also going to be involved with the drug give back, which, Brian, could you put that on Facebook, which is going to be Saturday the 27th?
Yeah, do you have a flyer or some sort of
They'll be sending
graphic?
me a notice, and I'll start putting up the,
Okay.
the posters and such.
Not that kind of give back.
And where's the drop off here?
Right here.
Pull up their
And
arrests for
not being
not a
silly,
grab
what
bag,
ki- what kind of drugs is it?
These are any household, any drugs that, the people are in.
Like
in,
outdated
Old
drugs?
outdated
prescriptions,
drugs,
things
old
like that.
prescriptions, some people come in here at different times because someone's passed away in their home, and they're looking to get rid of the drugs, they don't know what to do with them.
But also flushing them is an environmental disaster.
Bad,
too.
bad, bad.
Same with
Don't flush 'em.
landfill,
Don't
right.
flush them.
This has been put on by the DEA on a yearly basis,
Okay.
and we are probably one of the locals that we usually return in 2-3 boxes.
If you, when you send that to me, I'll share your post and we'll do that.
An officer will be here, they'll be here at all times. They used to send a DEA agent as well, but they don't do that anymore. So we can partake in it or not. I choose to do it because it is such a success. And so someone will be here throughout those hours of 2
All right.
or 10.
10 to
a.m.
2?
to 2 p.m. And other than that is it.
Alright.
Questions, concerns?
And there's no questions asked on that drug give back, right?
No questions.
Just
No.
drop it off.
Yeah, they come in, they drop them off. And we also know, we still take them throughout the year too, because some
Yeah.
people will
Yeah,
still
we have
come in.
people in
We have
this
a
week dropping them in.
secured
Yep.
area.
Yep.
The nursing home does it with us. They have a protocol that they have to follow, pick them up, they have to go up at a certain time, pick them up.
Great.
And we bring them here, secure them in evidence and proof.
So it's time to send them elsewhere.
Any more questions for Chief?
I will be here. I'm just doing
Alright.
some work.
Looking for a motion to approve the police report.
Motion.
Second.
Ben, Brian will say all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Code enforcement report, Mark.
It's all there.
It's all there.
Sort of, I guess, but, we continue to be busy and, there's a lot going on. 115 Main Street, I think, is a concern that we're gonna try to get to maybe for next month. I just kinda cringe every time I go by. I will tell you that, Bill thought that, the engineer thought
It's the white and with the green on.
Next to Bolson's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at
4
the
down from Hall Street.
foundation, driving by, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's.
Got the tape all around the house.
Bill, he wasn't, I sensed he wasn't quite as concerned as I was with it, but at the same time, he did say, you never know.
Yeah.
So,
I think the worry with that one, Mark, would be in the proximity to Woods Brook. If
Yep.
that could obstruct the tunnel right there in a collapse, which would be catastrophic for people on the other side.
Yep.
so it's something I think we just need to, you know, like I said to Mary the other day, we need to keep moving forward with it, that's all.
I agree.
Yeah, and maybe the next the special meeting that we set for budget, we may also move on that if we have everything ready to go on that. Because we, as you mentioned, we already have the report from the engineer.
Besides that, there's probably a few other properties we could start to work on too, but, you know, at some point probably we just need to prioritize. I mean, there's only so much you can do.
So Mark, on the red tag uninhabitable ones, so what's they're on the list, so what happens from that point? 'Cause I'm asking, I walked by 1 Lyman Street the other day, and that place is, you know, I looked at Spring Street, you know, and then the house on Spring Street, and then saw that one.
Isn't 1 Lyman ours?
Isn't 1 Lyman ours now?
Yeah, isn't that ours?
That's gonna come down for the sewer project?
No, that's down the bottom.
That's the other side. Okay.
Oh, this is okay.
This is
It's one
going
of the
down the
weird-
hill.
Yes.
Before you get to John
Got
Street
it.
site.
Yeah,
Okay.
because all those streets are on the railroad switch
Yeah.
sides.
That house has been like that, I mean, we had him in the court early on.
Oh, I know.
Probably one of my first cases that I ever did since I've been here. And, you know, and then they just walked away from it and nothing. So a lot of those, you know, they're either you consider them abandoned properties or zombie properties. You know, at some point, you know, I think, I was thinking about it today, it'd be nice if we had, especially ones that have code violations, if there were a way after we get them to court and nothing's happening, and we need to take a look closer at the law, and I think there is a way to charge like a fine per day or per week. We've actually done it, I think, or we've talked about doing it per week. But, you know, I don't know, we get to a certain point and we come to kind of a dead end with really what we can do with these
I think
properties, unfortunately.
I think that may require us to look at what all the local laws are in place and possibly put some more in, because I know, like, for an unsafe structure, we know the policy now. Once it's been deemed unsafe and needs to come down, we know the policy procedures. We've done this. We're finishing it up, you know, later this week when 2 more buildings come down. But in terms of if the situation it's red tagged but it's not technically unsafe and it needs to come down,
Right,
what's the
and
next step?
Everybody needs to understand that the red tag is it's red tag as uninhabitable. Red tag is probably my phrase, because it's a red tag kind of thing we put on there. And it's uninhabitable. That does not mean that it's an unsafe structure. You know, if it were an unsafe structure, we would actually take it to the next level where we would the engineer involved and stuff like that. But the uninhabitable, it could be, you know, we got called down the other day to 32 Lyman, it was, because of a water reading that was over 1 million gallons. And just knowing when we've seen that before, that's usually an indication there's a problem. So when they were down there, and if somebody had basically walked away from the house during the winter, things froze, pipes broke, and there's water running in the house, you know. Well, so now we have to turn off the water, plus we've got some water damage issues, not major, but in the house. So now that makes it, in my mind, an uninhabitable house until those things get fixed. What I tell people, part of my process, when I've red tagged it's uninhabitable, now you have to get a building permit, and I don't care if we just classify it as a rehab project, or, you know, in that case, maybe it's just a plumbing issue. We're gonna make you get a permit, and then I'm gonna make you get a CO before anybody moves back into that house. So that's kind of a way, a process that I put in place as part of red tagging a home.
Mark, which houses do you identify to the fire department as are they just the 7 under unsafe?
I give them a copy of my report.
Which ones do they, I guess, do they know what your process is for red tag versus unsafe? Are they gonna make a differentiation, or are they just assuming?
The hard part, and where I really get hesitant, you know, about, like, even abandoned properties and things like that, because some of the properties you will see listed twice, like West, if it's an abandoned one. You know, I don't wanna put the fire department on note, I guess I do and I don't. You wanna be careful, you're putting them on notice that they don't have to go rushing in, because as far as we know, it's abandoned. But you know, we have squatters and stuff around, every once in a while we run into that, and, you know, you still want to make sure that the house is vacant. That's a tough call, I don't, you know, cause I don't wanna put the village, you know, in a liable situation where I said that house is vacant, and then come to find out there's somebody in it.
Right, right.
That's a tough one.
It's just an awareness for them,
It's
discretion.
an awareness that, yeah, so I do, they get this list, you know, and John and I will talk sometimes when we see each other at a scene or something, if there's something special that I think you need to be aware of, I'll try and make it work.
Thank you.
Mark, with the unsafe sidewalk on Classic Street, with Baker Insurance or Cullen Insurance, I talked to Scott Foster, the Petersburg, whatever the highway supervisor, and he said he looked at it with these engineers, and the engineers told him that it wasn't the state's responsibility. Should we reach out to maybe our elected representatives?
When was that?
That was back, probably before early winter, wasn't it?
Right, and we've been working on that since, and Blake Buckner told me that there was somebody coming from the state to look at that last week.
Because you sent an email with all the photos attached to it.
Yes.
With all, where the sidewalk was collapsing.
Somebody from the state was coming to look at it last week, I have not heard back from him on that. Because, yeah, so I revisited that, because, you know what? If that washes away like I think it will, at a heavy rainstorm of some kind, it will certainly be their issue.
Yeah.
Because Route 22 is gonna buckle.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
Wash it
sinkhole.
down. You know, I just wanna see somebody get killed in it. You know, there's an issue there.
Yeah.
I mean, just as much as the issue, Tibbetts Forest, that's got the same issues, basically the
We
erosion.
have issued the second notice of violation to the landowner. You know, we'll be able to move forward with, on that front also, so I mean, you know, I'm just hoping the state will get involved.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, Mark? Thank you. There's just a lot of properties and a lot of details on each property here, so I appreciate it. Looking for motion to approve
Motion.
code enforcement.
Second.
Support. Bobby and Ben, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Community service report. I did speak with Jerry, and I want to make sure that we're moving forward on our planned improvements on the gazebo. It's not the right word, is it?
Yeah, because
It is a gazebo.
bandstand.
Yeah, the bandstand. Sorry, I called it something else this weekend. I was like, I don't even know why I called it that. Maybe that's the taco out here. No. We had talked to Bill Gaylord about going 50-50 on putting the new flooring in and getting some stone. So I talked to Jerry about that, and we're gonna try to get Jerry, myself, Neil, Bill, and someone else from the community band who would be doing the work together in the next couple weeks to just plan accordingly. So we now have that. I'd love to see that done by the time the first community band concert or Stardust concert is in June, late June. So otherwise. Reports there, unless there's any questions or discussion. Looking for motion to approve the community service report.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Clerk and deputy reports. You want to summarize any of it?
Basically, we sent out the water bill reminders, utility bills. We've been taking in payments. We are working furiously to get the April bills out, hopefully by the end of the week.
Take your time.
I really want them. We get a lot of calls, so I don't know where they are.
What, are people eager to get that?
They are.
They don't want to miss it. They don't want to miss it.
We are,
I
we
can't
need the
tell
money.
you. They're telling me they want
I
it.
got a letter from the village.
We did a few, several death certificates, and we've had
Yeah.
4 home changes, I believe, in March. So
All right.
Marie, when we do
it's been kind of busy.
the payments, I know, and I'm glad you guys did a reminder collection. I had 2 different people that had contacted me. One in particular was very adamant about, I didn't like my reply, I guess, that we mailed them. And their thing was, well, why should I be responsible for a bill I didn't get, even though they are expected by law? Is there, I don't wanna add more work to what you guys do, but would it, in some case, could we put a letter in as a reminder of, hey, by the way, we could've just put this on as a tax levy, here's why we're doing this. We mail them out, a gentle, nicer letter, like a form letter for those. I don't wanna add more work, but,
Brian, when we did that,
yeah.
when we had some downtime, that's when we used to do reminders.
But you guys don't have a lot, I know, and I don't
Right.
wanna,
And we haven't had
So that's why we hadn't been doing it, and I think they got used to not getting it. So this time we did do it, and it was like, wow.
Yeah, with a letter
So-
explaining the options and why we do it
If we
and,
get time to do
to
it,
do
I
it.
would add it, but,
Yeah, and also,
It's very busy, you're gonna have property taxes June first.
yeah.
based on some things I've heard and actually seen, it doesn't matter how nice you are. Some people will not be coming to the window
Well,
nice.
we gotta put a trap door right there and they get a little button.
Some
Just like
people
Willy
just-
Wonka.
Send our friend the mouse out
Honestly,
there.
they don't understand, new people coming in don't get enough information through either the realtors, the sellers.
That would make sense.
Their banks, they have no idea that they're coming into a village that has a village tax, a utility tax, a town tax, a school tax. When they're due, I mean, we get a lot of that, you know, especially new people coming in. And it's
Yeah.
that education piece of it, so, you know, you kind of try to tell them what it is, and we tell them it's 3 times a year on the utilities. It's not in your escrow, again, that's, you know, we get a lot of that. People don't say, I shouldn't see that bill, it goes right through my mortgage, it's escrow. So, you know, those are things that are educating that needs to be
Right.
addressed out from other sides, but, I mean, we were trying to do them a favor and.
Well, right, because you could just levy it on their
And,
taxes.
you know, honestly, other than a few people that were upset, there were a lot of people that come in and thanked us, and,
Yeah.
and we did bring in some revenue from it. People were paying last
Some of them
April's
think
bills.
we should just remind them every time. that
Yeah,
they
some
do
people
it.
just think, yeah,
We can't do
exactly.
that.
And that's why I know you guys
Yeah.
had a lot of hassle from people,
Yeah.
and I was seeing if there's a way we could alleviate some of that, but trap
I
door.
don't know, you know, we tell them the months that when the bills are out, if you don't get your bill that month, call
Call.
us, we'll give
Right.
you another one. Cause they all go out of here at once, where they go, if they go after, I don't know,
Right.
but they leave here together.
Oh, once they go out,
You heard water bells and you came running, right?
He heard trap door and he's like,
I heard Jenny talk about possibly speaking about the phones and.
Oh, no, not, that'll be next meeting.
Okay, alright.
Thank you.
Cause I had some information.
Alright,
I'll
alright, looking for motion to approve the clerk, deputy clerk report.
motion.
Thank you, Brian.
Second.
Second, Ben, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carries. Don't have a highway report, blame the computer. Sewer report is there. I did start last time to keep track on an annual basis of all the hauling bills that comes in, but I obviously don't have that in this one, but I'll update this on the next one. Unless you have any questions, looking for a motion to approve the sewer report. Craig, Bobby, thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carries, and the water report, short and sweet.
I make a motion to approve it.
Thank you, Brian, second Craig, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carries, thank you. We do not have any, minutes this time, my bad, she sent them to me, I haven't been through them, my bad again, I'm an awful person again.
We were gonna bring that up.
Can, we move on to trustee committee reports, can you take reins for a minute, I'm gonna run and get the letter from the highway garage printed out. I'll just be one moment.
Yep.
Oop, I just kicked something.
Is Bobby the mayor?
Vanessa, do you have anything?
There you go.
I'm just gonna pass those.
Committee reports.
No, I.
Pass those down to you so you guys have that, that's gonna be
Greg?
coming up.
Of course I do. Yeah, just
Brian?
quick, an email to the Green Bay Committee to schedule a meeting, I don't have the date, selected yet, but if anyone's interested in Greenway, can always email me, bushner@hfvillage.org, and I will make sure included on that, we'd like new people. LWRP had a committee meeting, recently, the other day, and uncomically large paper. Basically, LWRP committee has put together the final draft. The final draft will be presented to the board. We're projecting by the June meeting. So, or by May 3rd, we'll have the draft. The board will be presented with it in June. And hopefully we can approve it, and then the plan will be able to apply for other grants. And yes, there's a lot of goals on there's a lot of goals for the LWRP. We have a nice map of lots of really great ideas from the community.
That's awesome.
Ways we can revitalize our river and our community as the river as a centerpiece to that. So I think you guys will actually like the full draft when we get it.
That's good.
That's all I have.
Are they, Brian, are they working on the, when are they gonna start working, I should say, on the canoe, takeout rather than the launch, correct?
That's
It's gonna-
Waterworks, yes.
Yeah.
Waterworks Park, so the next Greenway meeting, B&L is gonna come and give us an update on where they have draft plans on what to do with that. And as soon as the committee's like, yes, it'll come to the board for us to say, yep, let's
Okay.
do it. I would love to see it done by fall, but during summer, but.
Of
This year,
2019, anyway,
yeah.
you're saying, okay.
Yep.
I'm just curious, I know we've been talking about it, and I just wanna know when it was gonna come to fruition or not, that's all.
Yeah, the plan they are gonna propose, brings a small access road behind the little peewee football field and up over the greenway and
Right.
does I forget the term for it, but basically it's a staircase next to an area to drag your canoe up
Right,
and out.
like a rail that drags.
Yeah, and that would be on the other side, plus some fishing access down there too.
Cool.
So that'll be what they're gonna propose.
I have, and I wanted to, Andy, last meeting we brought up, I brought up about possibly naming either the boardroom or the building itself in honor of Ann Bourne. Did we ever look into it?
Still looking at that.
Okay, I didn't know if.
The issue's there, it's on my desk.
Okay, I just didn't know, I know you had to check and see if it was okay
There
in the
is a-
courtroom, right?
I didn't print out the whole thing.
Okay.
It has the other things we have to sign off.
That's all, I just wanted to follow up and see if we were still working. Okay.
There goes all my stuff.
Did you just drop everything?
Back in there. Okay. So did we finish off the meeting while I was gone?
And the other thing I just wanted to bring up
Sweet.
about, as far as highway is, I noticed a lot of, people raking leaves and putting them out on the side of the street. There is no leaf pickup in the spring. There's leaf pickup in the fall, there's no leaf pickup in the spring.
We do run the street sweeper around though.
Yes.
Yeah, they do,
I
but
have a
that
few
shouldn't be,
calls.
that shouldn't be sucking up the leaves
No,
though.
but rocks.
Yeah.
We should probably put that on the Facebook or
Yeah.
on the page.
Street
I
sweeper.
did have a couple calls.
Right,
about
I
picking
noticed
leaves
some,
up.
a couple people down in
And
Second
tree
Ward.
limbs too. There's
And
been
did
people
mention to
piling
them
tree
that
limbs.
they could
Okay.
take them to the transfer station.
Right, then there's no fee at the transfer station, that's right.
I'm gonna say something, I guess you probably won't do it, but I'm gonna say is, you know, a lot of times we have storms and things like that, I'm the outspoken one. And you know, I've gotta be honest, we don't have a truck to haul our twigs and everything with. And of course, we can't burn them and things like that. And I know you were kind enough a couple years ago to come pick all our stuff up because I complained like this. But I really think at times,
There's a lesson in
You
there.
looking for me to come pick them up again?
I just think it's
I'd
very
be glad to.
unfair that there isn't something done, because you know, winter comes, branches do come down. And why can't the village, you know, do something like this?
Do a spring clean.
Like, could you
A
do
spring
a
cleanup.
one round for
I would
spring,
talk to
because
Neil
again,
first.
this past
Well,
year.
yeah, right, I'm not gonna speak
a
to that
lot
until I
of
talk to
leaves was
Neil,
still
but.
on when we got hit with that snowfall.
Mm-hmm.
So, while some of us would normally have a nice rake before the snowfall, this time we've got a foot of leaves now that are gonna be really difficult to get rid of because it snowed so early.
My only concern is the workload
Well,
of what the
that's
DPW
what I was
guys
gonna
do.
Staffing, we're, you know, staffing's
And
an
especially
issue.
right now with the other projects that they're helping out with. But I will have the conversation with
But I was
Neil.
thinking
Well,
my-
it's just that we, you know, and I'm gonna open my mouth some more, you can tell me shut up anytime you're ready. but
Hold on, let
it's
me
not
get the time
gonna
limit out.
work. So putting my 4-minute time limit on here.
Alright,
It's just like we have, I think it's wonderful that the village does a village cleanup supposedly, it's called village cleanup. Actually, what it is a downtown village cleanup. Because again, you do it, the
Main Street,
village
Church Street.
is the whole village, it's not just down here. And it's wonderful that we want our downtown to look good, but you know what, I'd love to see this whole village look good. And you know, there used to be a time, when we first were here, there used to be a time that we could get things, you know, there was a cleanup, you could put your things on the curb, and again, that was transported
That's when there
up.
was a landfill.
Yes.
There's no
know.
landfill anymore, that's the issue, unfortunately.
But the
I
thing
agree.
is,
it's a long time ago.
let it
Yeah.
be the branches or it's the junk that people have to get rid of, it's very hard for
Mm-hmm.
people to do that. And,
No, I'm not disputing, I was just bringing it up
but
because
you
the
know,
fact
we
that people out there.
want this village to be clean, but the village is beyond Main Street and Church Street.
Well, I think the solution is probably looking at, are there groups, volunteer groups, whether it's kids, students, college age, church groups that can pool resources to help in these cases.
Community service is
Yeah,
good.
because
Burning out them also.
I understand,
You know,
but
I think that happened like with the water, oh, let's have the volunteers do it and things like that. I think sometimes we
I'm
have
trying
to
to
take the
talk through
responsibility.
some solutions. I know overtaxed people can be, but I'm trying to give solutions to a problem, so.
The village of Cambridge does it all summer long.
But they have a lot more money than we do.
Yeah, okay.
Is there a way to do something with the transfer station, like to open it up for like a period of time, because they do have that big brush pile, where if you can get it up there, maybe you could.
The issue is for
Well,
the
who's in
people who
charge
can't
of
get it
the
up there.
rubbish?
Well, the brush is free, brush and leaves.
Brush and leaves, any like yard debris is free. There's
Yeah.
no fee
It's
for
always
that.
But I think it's
But
getting
Again,
it
the
there.
issue is getting it up there.
Getting it there.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't have a truck anymore.
Well,
Right.
I hear the deputy mayor will deliver for you. How's that? All right.
Done it before.
Yeah. All right. Did we finish off committee reports?
But don't you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just one thing.
All right.
Has no,
I didn't ask Kevin.
Oh,
Ben-
sorry.
Ben and Kevin didn't go. No.
Sorry.
One thing is, has Neil requested to
Sweeper?
Sweeper?
I know, I saw the sweeper when I was down there the other day, and I meant to ask him, but he.
They were already sweeping today. I saw them sweeping one of the roads today.
No, with the sweeper?
Yeah, driving it on the curb.
Oh, okay.
Very slowly. Had to go around it so I didn't hit
Every
him.
year he's requested you to
We
lease a
rent
sweeper
it,
for.
right, we
for
usually
May,
lease a
so-
sweeper for like 6 weeks. But there is a sweeper, the old sweeper, I think, is down at the highway garage, but the individuals, I saw them individually, they were sweeping Main Street and the other side streets with piles of,
Yeah,
dirt
they
and going
sweep.
by and picking those up.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin's talking about is a street sweeper.
As in, do we?
Our sweeper doesn't work very well. We
Right.
have actually two of them, one for parts and the other is,
Right.
We looked into buying one, and the costs were so comically high. It was
I'll
almost
follow
silly.
up with Neil on that, because
Yeah.
we do normally, Neil's usually approaching us this time of year to tell us when he's gonna be renting it or
usually by
leasing it.
May first, usually, so.
All right. Yeah.
I'll follow up
ask
with
him.
Neil.
Thank you. Put that on Facebook as well. Ben, you.
I don't have anything for this report, but I do have an Urswama meeting coming up next week, so.
Oh, sweet.
I'll have something for the next.
Why don't you check in with Denise and see if there's anything we need on the village
I
side of
will.
things for
Yep.
Salma, please.
I've been following emails, so yeah.
Thank you.
Check with her.
Kevin?
On Saturday, it's Village Cleanup Day from 8 to 1.
Main Street and Church Street
No,
cleanup?
no, it's not just Main and Church Street.
I'm sorry.
That's
We're
all
gonna
right.
do John Street too.
This year it is, actually, we were gonna do the Greenway too, cause there's a lot of
Yes.
trash
The
down there.
parade.
I see what you
And-
did there
and
with
Kevin,
John
you
Street.
saw in my
Nice.
email, can you mention the thing in the thread, put in with the cleanup?
Yeah, but that person wasn't really in charge of the whole thing, so.
No, there's a schedule though that I got for Key Club of benches to be painted that we probably should approve.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, this year Hoosick Rising took it over because Hayseed 3 is no longer
Right.
in operation. Hoosick Rising has also taken over the village-wide tag sale and some other events to pick up the slack from what
Okay.
Hayseed 3 did. So, one of the things is to paint the benches in the downtown. That month, the paint's been donated for that. The ones around that are really deteriorating.
Which benches?
In the park
the
over
park-
here, yeah.
I'm not sure the ones in the park, but the ones on Main Street, Classic
Park
Street. It didn't include the ones on the Greenway, as far as I know.
No, they weren't on the list I got.
Has Neil been consulted on these?
We have talked about it to Neil, and he didn't really care. I mean, nobody's taken care of them since they've been put in, except for volunteer efforts. The last
Are
time,
those the ones we painted?
Yeah.
I was I painted 3 of those.
yeah, they're all deteriorating. You
Yeah.
can't even see what.
How long ago was that?
Not that long.
Well, the problem was,
Huh.
the problem is they weren't treated properly before they
Right.
were put on. They should have had been
They've
sanded
been
down
sealed
first
and
and
lacquered,
sealed.
yeah.
Is that
There's
what we're gonna do here?
That's what I
10
do here.
10 of them listed on the list. Yeah, there's 10 different benches listed.
I mean, this time they're gonna use primer, specialty paint with primer already in it, so it won't flake and come off like it did
Great.
last time.
And Kevin, what's the hours of the cleanup?
8 to 1. Also, they'll be washing some windows on Church Street. They've contacted some absentee landlords, and they've gotten permission to go inside and clean the windows inside and out.
Nice.
And especially in some parts of Church Street, you know, they've been
So like
neglected.
by the old town offices?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about that
White's
one, but the
building?
ones on the other side of the street.
Across the street by the old,
They'll be planting trees in the park. Neil has scoped out a couple of spots for those, that's why I was talking about taking the trees down, because
Okay.
this is funded by Whipstock, the East Hoosick, nonprofit that deals with, the mine issues.
Oh,
out
the
there.
mine settlement?
They've- Right.
Yeah.
So they're gonna pay for the trees
Awesome.
and then do some general cleanup areas that people have requested be done. Some in the downtown, some not, so whatever we have enough volunteers to do, we'll try to get as much accomplished as possible.
All right.
Kevin, can we, just as a gentle reminder, I don't know if East Hook and Eagle can also remind people that even though with good intentions, that legally speaking, they should have approval before painting benches or undertaking any work, because if someone vandalizes it, it's no different than a citizen just painting it on their own. That it is public property either way, and if we're gonna prosecute people that vandalize it, they can say, well, so-and-so painted it, just so that can I just make a motion to approve any of the work that they would like to do for the cleanup day?
Do we need
to
no formal
make sure-
motion on that?
Is that,
I think it's appropriate
Okay.
to say that they are village-owned property, and the board understands the volunteer efforts and consents to that.
Brian, do we have somewhere that's happened or no? Is that what I know you saw the email today.
yeah, my concern is that if in a case, say, we prosecute somebody for
I get what you're saying,
vandalism,
yeah.
they can turn around and say, well, these people painted these benches, you didn't do anything to them, they didn't have permission. So I just wanna make sure we're also giving our blessing to the work people wanna do. I'm really excited that these will be painted, but I also wanna set the precedence of, please contact the village before volunteering to, cause it started with a discussion of someone trying to fix one on the Greenway. But that should really be handled, at least the village be notified, and even to approve, yeah, you can go paint it, just,
Yeah, I think a whole bunch of different people responded to that post on
Okay.
Facebook. I'll go down and paint it, I'll go.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah.
How, who's taking the lead on this again?
Hoosick Rising.
All right, then I'm looking for, I guess, a motion to, with thanks, approve the work that's gonna be done in the
Yeah, and
benches?
I would think for the board's consideration, you may wanna indicate any work like that certainly needs to go to the appropriate department. I'm not sure that the whole board needs to approve that, but certainly whatever department oversees that,
Yeah.
highway.
The department head or whatever.
Yeah, just that there's
Yeah.
an official approval
Absolutely.
that, and cause some of those benches are owned by the town, some are privately owned, so.
All right. He said denied, so you're out of luck.
I know, I didn't
Oh,
know.
no, I didn't know he's got.
For the record.
I didn't say that.
All right, looking for that motion then to approve with thanks the work for these on these benches.
On Saturday's cleanup day,
Saturday's cleanup day.
motion.
Thank you, Brian. Second, Craig. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you.
The other thing I don't think we've had on our agenda is the penny hunt is this Sunday, right after the cleanup.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's this Sunday?
This Sunday, yeah.
Awesome.
Saturday.
Saturday?
Saturday.
Saturday, right.
Wait,
Sunday.
oh, it's after the cleanup.
Yeah.
It's after the
Okay.
cleanup.
Also looking for approval for the Memorial Day Parade, the American Legion has asked that I ask permission for that on Saturday, May 27th at 10 a.m.
Looking
Monday?
Saturday?
Monday, May
Monday.
27th.
Oh, motion.
Thank you, Brian.
They're also asking for
Second,
permission
Craig.
to
Hold on a
have-
minute. Wait.
oh, yeah.
Motion.
Motion rescinded.
All right.
All right. Rescind it.
They're
Go
also
on.
asking for permission to hold a
Sounds
concert
fancy.
in the park at 12 noon after the parade. They have, like to have a band there and have vendors in the park for that.
Mayor, are you bringing your band?
Yes, but we're not gonna stay for that performance. We're not playing for that. We'll do backup brass. We'll play Chicago and we'll just play along.
This is the American Legion's request.
All right. So
Yeah, motion to approve parade and the use of the gazebo and park for a concert afterward on
With
Memorial
vendors.
Day, 2019.
Brilliant.
Second.
Brian, second. Craig, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you.
The other is for the summer concert series. This will be the third year that we've done that. Three
Yes.
concerts, June 29th, July 20th, and August 3rd, from 4 to 8 in the park.
Great. Looking for a motion, Craig. Thank you. So moved.
Second.
Second. To approve these three concerts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
That's it.
Great.
20th, Kevin, is the day of the, it's usually member guest weekend, right?
Very good.
Doesn't really matter, 'cause
No, it is. No, it's
All
good.
right.
I'm just saying it's good.
Okay.
All right. Old business.
Can I
Does
ask a question? Since we're doing the cleanup day, is there any chance that a village trucker or something could be down here and we could get rid of our?
It usually is sitting here. Normally they have a truck out here for.
that we could throw things in that
Yeah,
we need.
I
I'm not
feel
saying furniture and stuff, I'm saying those branches, those
Yeah,
woods, those.
they've done that
They've
the last
always
3 or
done
4 years.
Yeah.
They put a truck out. That's usually parked right out here.
There you go. All right, discussion, we tabled this last time, I can't remember what, if we were gonna contribute financial support to them.
Yeah, they were looking for 500.
Tabled it, I think.
We were gonna, you
We were gonna look, I
budget.
haven't looked yet.
That was one, anything was
I think we should, I'd like to make a motion that we find the money. It's,
I don't have a problem with that, but we denied money for the, thing in the park, or the, money, any support for the project up in the, Wood Apartments for the last meeting we had.
Wood Apartments.
And this is not being held in the village as well, on village property?
What's the Wood?
No, I think, cause well, that's the housing authority.
Oh,
I think
the
we said
housing
'cause
authority
it's a separate
work.
authority, but this is a community event for anybody. I think there's a difference.
And this is going forward and like, this isn't just a one and done thing.
Yeah, this is one thing.
This is something that's gonna include the school, hopefully the town.
Village, I think the difference with this, I think, is that, cause that's an independent government organization, this is a nonprofit that's trying to.
Well, the group doing that work up there, Civicure is a nonprofit too, that's trying to beautify the village.
Right, but they're doing it on the housing authority's property, that's a separate government entity.
Well, you're doing it on the Hoosick School.
You're making a weird
auditorium.
you're making a weird comparison here
No,
that
I'm
doesn't.
not making a weird comparison.
Yeah, that doesn't
We're
align.
donating money to outside sources that have nothing to do with the village, and what's the difference between one and the other?
Well, I understand what both of you are saying, cause you're saying that
can't
it's
explain
a
it if you
government
can't understand it.
authority, and you're saying that the event's being held at the school.
Right.
I understand what both of you are saying.
But I'm saying, moving forward, if everybody comes to us looking for money, where do we stop?
It's a valid question, I don't,
I don't think it's always gonna take place at the school. My understanding of it, cause they actually presented to the school board.
Mhm.
And we got like a good picture of what they're trying to do and what they wanna do for the community in the future. I mean, for me personally, I would
Yeah.
support Marcus. I mean,
No.
but the Eagles donated $250. You know,
I mean, I have no problem with what they're doing, and I think it's a great thing, cause
we have
everybody
health issues
loves that, right.
from the water that could use more attention versus.
yeah, this has got, no, well, hang on, that's, first of all, that's got nothing to do with the health issues from the water. This is about when the doctor becomes a patient, it's totally separate, they're not getting into.
Right, but they wanna help you
But
to
it's
discuss things.
helping
that are
with
important
medical
to your
issues.
community.
Right, so medical issues.
Can I just ask a question? What
Correct,
do
yeah.
they want the money for? It's a
just to continue
nonprofit,
supporting.
They're doing it at the school, they're not running a school, what do they need the money for?
To continue to come up with programming to reach out to the community. That was basically the gist of when they presented here. In a sense, sponsorship.
Cause they're it's volunteers who are, and the ones who are
To
speaking,
provide the
right?
materials, like the pamphlets.
Well, let me, if,
I'm not, believe me, I'm not against either one, but I'm just trying to differentiate between one and the other, why we couldn't support one and we can support another.
if, with your permission, if we can table this until the next meeting in 2
It's
weeks.
Saturday.
Can't, this is, the
Well,
event's.
this isn't financial support just for this event,
No,
this
it's
is
not just for this.
sponsorship
Yeah.
for
I
the
was
whole
gonna say, 'cause
thing.
we-
Cause they have more events coming, I know this is gonna be well attended and
You know, I don't
excited.
wanna make a big deal about it, let's just go and support it.
Okay, and I mean, if someone wants to make a motion
Would
to,
you check with your attorney to see that this doesn't constitute an unconstitutional gift of public funds? Since you don't have any kind of service agreement or contract with it?
We can certainly look into that, my gut tells me it is not. The issue's been raised, it's probably worthy of looking at, just to make sure, now that that's on the record. So it may be a good idea to, you are gonna consider a special meeting,
yeah, and for,
within a few weeks.
Yep.
So it may be, appropriate to take a look at that.
alright.
I'll make a motion to table,
Okay.
second to the next meeting.
Thank you, Ben, thank you, Craig, any further discussion? All in favor on
Aye.
tabling it? Opposed?
Opposed, I think we should do it today, but.
Well, it's a 2-2 and abstentions. 3, I'm abstaining.
I didn't say anything.
I guess that's an abstention too, so it is opposed, so we are still on topic. Looking for another motion then.
I make the motion, we support the project.
How much financially?
500 they were asking for, right?
You said
Well,
the Eagles at 350?
They said any amount.
250.
But they asked it, they initially said.
They said that, yeah, they were asking for a sponsor of 5 to 1,000.
500.
So,
So, against the advice of our attorney, we were gonna do that.
My suggestion would be, if you want to approve this, subject to research on that issue, on whether there's any legal impediment to doing that,
Mm-hmm.
I'll report that at your next special meeting.
So, I guess we're looking,
Second.
no, to someone to
But based on the, yeah.
add to the motion with,
Subject to legal review on any legal impediment to providing that
all right.
financial support.
Does someone want to do a so moved on that one?
Motion, so moved.
This is to add to basically edit the motion that's on the floor. Need a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so now we have the motion that we will approve it subject to, or $500 subject to approval, review from our
From the
attorney. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries, okay. Thank you, we are moving on. I have did we hand out the sheet about the water bill?
yeah.
Alright,
Yes.
thank you. So acting on, where is that water bill paper?
Right here.
Here it is, thank you, got it. Thank you. Acting on the information you guys gave me last time, where we talked about the water bill of $4,585. You guys recommended to leave the water bonds, sewer bond refuse, and sewer usage. No, I'm sorry, and leave the water usage, but reduce the sewer usage in a way where we found the average usage and took that out of the entire usage and left it that way. If that makes sense. So, following this little math problem on number 2, the sewer usage was $2,200 on approximately 337 gallons. The average sewer cost for a tenant rate is $6.55 per thousand. The average sewer usage for the previous 8 bills was $56,788. 337 gallons minus those 56,000 of average brought it down to 280,000 gallons to be waived. 280,000 times the 655 per thousand means $1,836.94 would be taken out. So the proposed amount to be waived, why do I have that number there?
1933.
Why would I have that? No,
Yeah.
that's wrong. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, so the
check
6934 was the sewer bond from, that's pretty much basically their sewer bond amount per bill.
Yeah. Yes.
So why did that number get so high when it probably should be $70 that we waive, not this much?
Divided by 1,000 times.
Yeah, the sewer usage. Oh, sorry,
6.55.
not the bond. I meant usage, and I read the.
The letter F proposed amount to be waived. I put the wrong number in.
But still, it's a really high number.
The proposed amount to be waived should be the answer of letter E, which is the 1,836.
Billing cycle?
That would basically waive all of the excess sewer usage, which would drop the bill $1,800 approximately from the $4,585. So that was the request for numbers. That's what you guys asked for, and that's the computation. My apologies on letter F putting the proposed amount to be waived because that's the wrong amount. It's letter E is the proposed amount to be waived.
And they've already paid $1,250.
They've already
So
paid
their balance
$1,250.
would be somewhere around $1,450.
$1448.51. Thank you.
Or what balance?
That'd be the now due. $1448.51. So those were the numbers you guys requested last meeting. Is that what you guys are comfortable waiving?
We're talking about raising water rates and.
Well, we're keeping the water rates in,
I
this is
understand,
sewer
but
rates.
I also feel like. I still think it's an owner neglect issue here. I don't know. I feel like I don't like that number. It's too high.
Anyone else?
It was an idea I threw out there. I'm not firmly
Mhm.
attached to it either way, but I would support it if that's what we want to do.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
So we're gonna waive 14.
No, we're gonna waive 1836, and that will be the remaining balance.
This is
Afterwards it's paid.
occupied,
Yes,
rental?
yes, a two-family rental.
Yep. What's that?
Why is that being removed? I guess I don't have the whole history on
We
this.
went into that in the last meeting,
Yeah.
they had a plumbing
But at the
issue.
last meeting, was that the 25th meeting that I did?
No, it wasn't. It was the quick story is it was a plumbing issue and a leak, and there were a lot of issues getting a plumber to come and fix it. So the request came in to waive a certain amount. The board did not like the idea of waiving all of it or what they suggested, so that's where we're here now. So what's on the table now is to leave all of the water usage, obviously the water bond, sewer bond, refuse, and to lower the sewer in excess of what the average sewer usage would be. That was just an idea that was floated out, which brought it to $1836.94, being reduced off of the $4,500, approximately $4,600 overall water bill.
It was, they discovered the leak on October 11th of 18.
And they gave us a long
It was fixed
report
on
about.
December 14th, so 2
Yeah.
months went by, and now they want us to waive the amount of water that they wasted.
So they were in a house for 2 months, they didn't.
No,
this is the owner,
This is the
tenant.
property
Yeah,
owner.
this is the owner.
This is the landlord.
Just had a lot of problems getting someone to come in and fix it.
At this point, I just am gonna say it's in cost of doing business, neglect. I'm not in favor of waiving anything, and if we can move on.
Any other thoughts? We didn't make a decision, even though we're all kind of fried.
You making a motion, Brian, or you?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
So you're making the
To
motion
vote
to not waive anything?
I'm gonna make a motion to waive $0 and their bill is due, the balance is due.
All right, we'll need a second on the motion.
Second.
Have we represented them with this?
Yeah,
they called
last
and
month. They sent a copy of the bill.
Yeah, but we've.
They
told-
haven't seen this. They called
Okay.
this week, and we said we'd be discussing it at the meeting today.
Yeah.
Haven't we adjusted other people for the same reasons?
We have made adjustments. I don't remember the consistency of what they've been for and
I don't
why.
think they were rental properties, so that's, I don't think, I might be wrong.
Were they also though the
last
main
one
coming
you did
in?
was,
Mark?
A rental property where the owner was aware of the leak for 2 months?
Yeah.
I think we've waived stuff where there's been with the line coming in, right? Have we waived those issues, but this is like.
I think that was a single family.
I think I made my point.
Yeah.
I own
Yeah,
multiple
that's-
properties. I know I got a leak. I don't care what I gotta do. I'm gonna get somebody there.
Worst comes to worst, if you can't hire somebody, try to fix it yourself until you.
You do something. You can
Right.
turn the water off.
Well, first of all, they should have contacted the village on October 11th that there was a water leak and they were trying to find
I think
a
they
contractor.
Like six
may
water
have.
So
No,
we're
they.
talking a
I
leak
don't remember if
that's
it said it in the
after
report.
meter.
Pardon me?
Yes.
That's a leak after the meter.
Yes.
So that's a leak inside the house.
Right.
That's usually after a turnoff.
There's a shut off someplace.
Right. I just,
So that's not fun.
Okay.
I think it's a slippery slope in that, I know you guys have done that before for other
I'm not
places. I
disagreeing
think
with
the technicalities involved are a little bit different.
Okay. No, that's fine. Thank you. So the motion right now is to waive nothing,
Right.
which has been seconded.
Correct.
Any other discussion on this? All in favor based on hand so I can see who's in favor of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposed? Abstentions? 2. All right, passes 5-0-2. We will not be waiving anything. All right.
There's the $500 for the April meeting there.
Too soon. Too soon.
And also, Kevin, I do apologize. I was short and rude with you. I'm sorry. That was not fair.
It's
So,
nothing to do with the event itself, it's just,
but I want to apologize in front of that. I was a little short with you, so I'm sorry. I apologize for that. That was not
Thank you, Brian.
kind of me.
All right, let's move on. Discussion regarding updating municipal building phone system. I have not yet had a chance, but I'm gonna reach out to her this week and get a plan on this.
Do you need a motion to table?
That's gonna save us like $600 a month too.
I'm hoping so.
It does, yeah, it
So
does.
motion to table, Brian.
Yes.
Second, Ben. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We lost.
Abstains from the other room?
No. Aye.
Carries. Thank
vote
you.
from the
So
bathroom?
we can probably do that in a special meeting if we have to, right?
That would be good for the special meeting. Can you kick me every day you see me until, yeah, that one. All right. New business, Andy, can you summarize, local law number 1 of 2019? A local law to terminate the village's status as an independent assessing unit.
In summary, the county is alerting the village that the village of Hoosick Falls is the last village within the county that acts as its own assessing unit. All the other villages in the county adopt the town assessment in which the village is located. Feels that this would be appropriate, certainly from an assessing standpoint, a consistency standpoint. I know the village treasurer supports the proposal. It's been discussed with your assessor, who also serves as the assessor for the town. And to make the assessment consistent and also to keep the county in the game in terms of maintaining assessment rolls, they propose that this be done, and what would happen is you would simply stop being an independent assessing unit and would, in essence, piggyback on the town assessment. Highly recommended by the county. We discussed this last year following the town revaluation. This has been raised again, and again, the effect of this would be you wouldn't be an assessing unit, you wouldn't have a separate village assessment role.
We wouldn't have a grievance night, it would be
have a
handled
grievance
with the
night,
town.
it would be the town, it would be consistent, everyone understands that this is our assessment, this is the one grievance day. And you would not have a position of village assessment. It'll all be consolidated with the town.
Be way better for residents, right?
Excuse me?
It'd be way better for citizens, for property owners.
It would be understandable, that's for sure, that there is one. It eliminates the issue of a property in the village having an assessment at one number on the town roll and a different number on the village roll. It becomes very confusing. It's a difficult administrative issue for both the county tax department as well as the village treasurer.
In the future, if we were to say the town does another reassessment and a future village board does not accept that role, do we have to, because we've done this, or if we don't, do we have to reestablish this position?
You'd have to go through and reestablish the village as an assessing unit. I'll give you at least what I've been told by the county. Currently, if the village chooses to do this, you will take over maintenance of your own role. The county is not gonna do what it has historically done. It's a difficult thing for the county to maintain a county-wide role, but have a separate village role within the town. It's a lot of additional administration and expense for the county. You can choose to do that, but, say yes or no, but with the village's position, or strike that the county's position would be is, you can do that, but you're gonna do all the administration.
So you wanna do that in your free time?
Sure, yeah.
And this would eliminate dual grievance nights.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
correct.
In terms of, we basically need a motion to introduce it.
No
No,
motion.
we don't need a motion,
Just
just
a member introduces it, and
We have to
then
set a
you
public hearing. Would you want the public hearing to be at a special meeting or at the next regular meeting?
The next regular meeting would be adequate.
Okay, then I'm looking for a motion to set this public hearing.
Well, first, someone's gonna formally introduce,
Oh,
introductory local law number 1 of 2019.
I thought I did that already. So I'm formally introducing introductory local law number 1 of 2019.
Very good.
Thank you. Yes.
Now the board just sets the public hearing date.
All right.
Motion.
Oh, no motion, thank you.
It's May 14th.
Next regular
Can we do
meeting
it at
is,
the special meeting or the regular
Yeah,
meeting?
regular meeting.
Regular meeting.
Regular meeting.
Let's not make our special meeting any longer than we have to.
Alright.
one thing of note, I probably won't be able to be here for the next regular meeting because I have a scholarship of a festival, school event I'm accompanying a whole bunch of kids at, so I don't know how to, just connected the dots on that one right here in the moment.
So Bobby's in charge.
So Bobby, you may be in charge.
I get back from vacation on the 13th, so it's perfect.
What could go wrong? Okay. All right.
It's when I'm away, not when Bobby's away.
That's right, that's true. All right, so then the public hearing is set for May 14th? All right,
At time, 6 p.m.
6 p.m., thank you. All right, I just gave you guys the highway garage review letter. again, there were 4 contracts. Yes, I know, it's hard to believe, cause of the previous, all the craziness that happened, but we had it and then we rescinded it, until we got all the documents looked at. MRB has done their due diligence this time, and gotten us all of the details. In terms of the general contract, no concerns not to award it to Bishop Beaudry Construction. In terms of plumbing and HVAC, everything looks alright. They do have public project experience, although not in New York State. At the bottom of page 1 it states that. Everything looks good from that point of view. So in summary, they see no reason at this time to deny contract for plumbing and HVAC to Hayden Plumbing and Heating. And then number 4, the electrical, this was the one we had to decide on. The tie bids were J.A. Bradley local in Hoosick Falls, and Harold Clune in Ballston Spa, New York, same price. Both look good. MRB does not have direct experience with either of them, but we have direct experience with one of them, and I think last time we were content to award it to J.A. Bradley. So at this point, we now know everything has been looked into, qualifications have been set, all the paperwork and documentation is set, so we can...
We do know that, cause it
We-
doesn't say that here.
We do know that. We do know that.
I mean, cause they didn't ever come back and said like, we now have the non-collusion statement.
I have an email on that.
Okay, I trust you then.
Yes. Wrong email.
That was the only holdup the last time, was a non-conclusive bidding agreement, correct?
Yes.
I still think it would be good to have a checklist from the MRB group to say that, yes, we've gotten all these different documents that are required for the bid package. And
Yeah, we...
like a summary.
They generally do.
They have in the past.
Yeah, they have the.
But when Rich stepped in, he made sure everything is all copacetic and set, so... Yes, we are good.
That headache will be gone from the village forever.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Alright, so in that case, I'm looking for a motion to approve the bid for general contract for Bishop Beaudry.
Motion.
Do I need to do each contract individually?
Yes.
Okay, motion from Brian,
Second.
second Ben, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. I'm looking to approve a motion to approve the plumbing and HVAC contracts to the same Hayden Plumbing and Heating.
Motion.
Thank you,
Second.
Vanessa. Second, Brian. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. And finally, the what I'm assuming the board still wants to go with J.A. Bradley.
Yes.
Okay, in that
I make
case.
a recommendation, we go with J.A. Bradley.
Okay, so the
I make a
motion,
motion, to yes.
electric contract to J.A. Bradley.
J.A. Bradley.
Second it.
All right, second, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Well, as you're voting.
As you're voting.
I'll
Yeah.
note for the record that vote was based on your past experience
Yes.
with Bradley.
Okay.
And based on that, you award the contract to that
Okay.
contractor.
Right, because they had the same exact dollar amount as.
Right, okay. So all in favor again?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're moving forward again on the highway garage. Sewer project, I passed around, I don't know where it ended up, I gotta talk about the shred it, shoot.
I give it back to you.
It's somewhere on the table, here it is.
The notice.
The construction notice, Andy, they requested approval for us to, approve advertising the construction notice. They'll handle the, individual resident notices themselves.
You guys have a chance to review it? Yep.
Yep, okay. In that case, looking for a motion, to approve publishing the contract notice.
Motion.
Thank you,
Second.
Vanessa, thank you, Ben. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. One announcement I forgot to make, Shred It. The Kiwanis community is having a shredding event. Most shredders charge $5 to $10 per banker's box. There is no charge for this event, and they will even accept donations. It is on Saturday, May 18th, from 9 a.m. to noon,
Instead of paying
or when the truck is full. It's basically free shredding.
Nice.
Free shredding.
I think there's a limit on.
Thank you,
boxes, right?
Kiwanis.
5 boxes, and it will be up at the American Legion. It's the same day as the road race.
Do you have to prove residency?
150.
No. Oh, we should sign that we're
Yeah.
legal.
You're
All
gonna
right.
sign.
Signing.
I need to set a special meeting date and time.
Second meeting.
I know. For purposes of adopting, the, budget,
What it is?
the 1920 budget, we could set it 2 weeks from now on the 23rd. We could also set it 3 weeks from now on the 20th, but I rather not, or on the 30th, I mean.
But we have to have it before our next regular.
It has to be before May 1st, because that's when the budget has to be
They're not the
approved.
budget
We are on break during the week of the 23rd, so if you're not gonna be here, you're not gonna be here, but, what dates work for you guys? Is Tuesday the 23rd on break work?
That's a Wednesday, right? Tuesday?
No, 23rd's a, 23rd's a Tuesday, 24th is a Wednesday.
I'll be back from Maine. So whatever disaster's done.
I'm not.
We could do 29th. You wanna do Monday the 29th?
Alright, so you're not on vacation?
Is Monday the 29th work for you guys?
Monday, that's fine.
Alright, then we're, do I need a motion?
Motion for Monday the 29th for special meeting.
Thank you. At 6 PM, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries, and right before the 2.5 hour mark, Ben.
I told you, 8:30, I'm out of here.
Still have the public hearing open.
Oh,
Yes.
jeez. Looking for motion to close the public hearing, unless anyone else had anything to ask about the public hearing.
Second.
Vanessa and Craig, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries, thank you, I forgot to write myself a note to close that. Any other business anyone wanna bring forward?
Please.
Ben, you have business you wanna?
No.
Ben, do you wanna have, Ben, do you have a motion for
I
us?
do, a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Thank God, Craig.
All in favor? Opposed? Carries, thank you.
Just one quick thing.
8:29.
One quick thing.
8:29.
Always.
May 6th to June 6th